Welcome back to the FPL deadline stream, this time out of Blank Gameweek 29. This could be free hit territory, you could argue, and some will just be using free transfers or a -4 hit perhaps, but all your questions will be answered in today's stream, so you're well prepared for the upcoming deadline, and we do have an international break just after it, a Carabao Cup final tomorrow, and a lot more to look forward to until the rest of the season. That includes use of your fantasy videos and live streams, which will be coming your way in early April, so stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, let's put our full focus on Fantasy Premier League and get into your questions. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, and all that good stuff. Taylor Rudkin starts things off saying, which one? Number 1, Wanyeri in for Palmer, then defender move to Doherty, Agbadu, Creswell. Number 2, Minter, Sarabia, Menetzi in for Palmer, and then defender move of Creswell. I'm not too keen on those defenders, to be honest. I get the appeal of Creswell, who could be very useful for blank, or should I say double Gameweek 33. And even this week, he's fairly decent. Agbadu has a great fixture now, and Wolves are near the top of the FDR until Gameweek 34. Of course, that's where Doughty also comes in. And as for the midfielders, Menetzi, it looks like he's been cleared to be involved, but does that mean he starts? I'm not entirely sure, and I'll provide some injury updates regarding other players very soon. With Minter and Sarabia, yeah, I think Minter might be my favourite. The problem with Sarabia is his minutes are all over the place, so I just wouldn't go for him. He might be great this week, but then he'll let you down more often than not until the end of the campaign. That's the way I see it, so if I had to pick one, it's Wanyeri, but I don't like the Palmer to Wanyeri move. I was considering myself, but only to fund Haaland. That's the only reason I do such a transfer. Number 3, Bellegarde in for Palmer, and then defender move of Agbadu, Creswell. Well, basically, they're all the same, right, in terms of you're bringing in similar defenders. It's just a question of the midfielder you bring in. Any of these Wolves ones, like Sarabia, Bellegarde, and Menetzi could do very well this week, but I'm not a big fan of them in the long term. If I had to pick one now, it's probably Bellegarde. I think he's the most secure in terms of minutes. I think if Menetzi started and I knew that, then I wouldn't mind taking a punt on him, but I'm just going to go for Wanyeri here in your situation. Jaren says, who do you think will start for Liverpool with Trent out, Bradley out for a bit too? Well, they could play someone like Curtis Jones at right back. That's something I saw, I think, Arne Slot mention in his press conference. So they might have to be a bit creative with that solution. But I'll be honest, I just think Quansah could play there. Quansah right back and then have Kanate, Van Dijk, and either Robertson or Tsimikas. I think that will be the defensive line more likely. James123 says, hello Dylan, hope you're good. Who is the best Trent replacement long term and take out Isak for Raul? I can't afford Haaland. I already have Wood and Vissa. You don't need to force Haaland in. I know he's really appealing this week and especially for Gameweek 30, but I don't think he's absolutely necessary. That's just my opinion on it. I'll talk about the captaincy options very soon, and Haaland is pretty much near the top. Just a bit of a spoiler alert, but yeah, I don't think you have to break your budget and your squad and the structure you've got just for Erling Haaland. That's the problem I have with him. As for Isak to Raul, I think Jimenez starts, but it isn't a guarantee. And last season, Maniz did very well against Tottenham in Blank Gameweek 29. So that's just not a transfer I'm really fond of. You'd probably want Isak back as soon as possible. Now, a lot of people are wildcarding in Gameweek 30 or 31, so that does change things a little bit. But the best Trent replacement long term, I think Gabriel. Yeah, I know Gvardiol's appealing as well, but it would be Gabriel. I think Arsenal have a more solid defence. Of course, come the Champions League in early April, they'll prioritise that for sure. But in the meantime, I think it's a very good long-term solution for your team. And then from Gameweek 30 onwards, another one is Daniel Munoz, who I'm going to bring in at that point of the season. So it would be one of those two. And of course, this week it's Gabriel. And Isak Farrell, not for me. I'd try to find something else, even if it means making another defender transfer and having an extra body for Gameweek 29, so be it. But I think Isak is someone you don't want to sell, if possible. The same goes for Salah and for some people, Munoz as well. Easy99 says, sold Wanyeri to Elanga since Wanyeri potentially go to the bench after the international break, especially if Saka's return sooner. That could burn a little bit this week. I think Wanyeri could do well against Chelsea, but I think that makes sense. That's my problem with Wanyeri in the long term as well. But I still think you can get minutes, and Saka will be eased back into things, and the priority for Arsenal is the Champions League. So it wouldn't surprise me if Saka was on the bench against Fulham. But of course, we're talking hypothetically. There's still a long way to go until we get to that stage. Easy99 says, Haaland captain gamble other than Wood. I think Forest will struggle to score goals today. I've gone for a very low scoring prediction there, which I'll also show you. so all the graphics have been prepared for this stream, so I'll get into that very soon. But yeah, I think those two are still up there for the captaincy. Bruno Fernandes, Foden. So you'll see those names in that list very soon. Palmer will be sold in Game Week 30 no matter what happens in the Chelsea-Arsenal game. Look, maybe I'm wrong about this, but I think that's a mistake because if you're keeping Palmer up until this point, Arsenal's a much tougher fixture on paper for attackers compared to facing Tottenham. I think Palmer might blank this weekend, and hopefully he does, but I think in Game Week 30 he could do really well. He has a great record against Spurs, and I think it might be an awkward time to sell him. So let's show you the social media platforms very quickly, and let's see, hopefully no issues here. Let me know if things are running smoothly and stuff like that. It is a pleasure to have you on board, but these are my social media platforms. Dylan RCM. You can also find me by typing FPL Dylan. There is also my Discord server, FPL League, Spotify, and my Patreon, which is patreon.com/DylanRCM. But what I want to do very quickly is actually go through some updated transfer plans. And this is the whole presentation. If you saw my team selection video, you would have seen most of these graphics yesterday, but I have tweaked a few things. For example, Trent is now orange flagged. When I recorded the video on Thursday, of course, he was yellow flagged. But yeah, the main thing to look out for are the transfer plans and my provisional transfers now for Blank Gameweek 29. This might sound weird and very strange. Let me know if you think it's a good idea. I am considering selling Salah for 1 week only. My biggest issue with it is the fact I lose so much value tied up in Salah, and that could make it very awkward when I do wildcard, maybe in Game Week 30 or 31. Perhaps it's going to be a bit later in the season. But Trent to Gabriel, that is a very solid, secure move, and I'm very set on doing this because based on Arne Slot's comments, it does seem like Trent Alexander-Arnold could be out for most of this season because his comments, as I'll show you very soon, did indicate that it's going to be a very lengthy spell on the sidelines there. Veltman to Nuri is a very simple transfer, but something I haven't considered too much compared to the other moves you see in this list, but it makes a lot of sense. Nico Williams, Milenkovic, Aina are all great replacements there for Veltman, but I'm not too keen, I think. I've got Souls in goal already, to be fair, and I think with my defensive line, I should look elsewhere. That includes Nuri and Gabriel, for example. But this Palmer to Wanyeri move, and this could also be Elanga, Gibbs-White, Hudson-Odoi perhaps, but I think I mainly have to stick to those below 5 million. My main issue with this is, as Easy said, Saka is going to be back after the international break, and this means Wanyeri's minutes could be less secure. We saw him rested against PSV Eindhoven in the Champions League, and he has suffered from fatigue and being overplayed a little bit in recent weeks as well. And I don't like selling Palmer before he faces Tottenham, and he's got some fairly decent fixtures actually. Chelsea have a good run from Game Week 30 onwards, but the only reason I'd consider this sort of thing is to buy Erling Haaland for Matheus Cunha, which looks amazing for the next 2 weeks. And if you're wildcarding in Game Week 31, this could be a great play for you to buy Haaland for the next 1 or 2 weeks, and then you can offload him. But yeah, for those looking to buy him this week and then sell him in 30 to go back to Salah, for example, I'm not sure if that's too wise when he faces Leicester at home. But there's so many permutations and conundrums in FPL nowadays and a lot to think about. I think in terms of normal forward replacements for Cunha, who I can easily afford, Visser could be one of them, and that allows me to buy Gabriel in for Veltman, but that's not too relevant now with Trent's injury, and I could still go to Marmoush and afford Gabriel in the process just by selling Trent Alexander-Arnold, basically. But yeah, I have to say, with Visser, I like him a lot for Game Week 29. He's got a great record against Bournemouth, but I might have to look elsewhere, and Salah to Bruno Fernandes could be the solution for me for 1 week only. I can easily afford Salah back by selling Trent to Gabriel as well, and then, yeah, despite losing a lot of team value in Salah, I can still buy him back and afford a fairly decent wildcard team. But in this process, of course, I've got Bruno against Leicester away for Game Week 29, where I could captain him, and then have Salah in time to captain him against Everton at home as well. But Souls and goal is very locked in for me. There's no doubts about that. Now, my defensive line has Colwill, Mikolenko and Robinson, and I'm looking to add Gabriel as a long-term solution. I know Chelsea could score at the Emirates, and I have predicted that to happen, but I just think Gabriel offers that security. Even though Arsenal will prioritise the Champions League, I think he can do a great job in the Prem and start virtually most matches. Now, the midfield is very interesting, but I could go for a full midfield set, which includes Bruno Fernandes replacing Mohamed Salah, Palmer, Mbeumo, Kluivert, and Semenyo. That is the current plan, but it isn't locked in because I'm still a bit reticent about selling Mohamed Salah. Chris Wood will be the lone striker. Now you might be thinking, why not just sell Cunha? You know, why not you just sell that guy, keep Salah, and Bob's your uncle? But if I'm being honest, a lot of the forwards I'd like to have long term, that includes Mateta, they blank in 29 and they're injured anyway. He should be available for Game Week 30 against Southampton away, and my plan is to sell Cunha to Mateta in either 30 or 31. So that's the kind of transfer I want to prioritize there. And I've also got Isak, who I'd rather keep because he doubles in Game Week 32, and Newcastle have excellent fixtures after the blank. So that's kind of my thinking there. I've already got the second best forward, you could say, for Game Week 29. But of course, not having Haaland could sting a little bit. And those that free hit or just buy the Norwegian with their free transfers will have a massive advantage over me. Perhaps that's the case, but it is an informed Brighton side they're facing, and I'm backing a very close game between the two. And I think it could easily be a draw or a Brighton win. I do think City might edge it, but I don't think it's going to be a massive scoreline. And Haaland has been in good form recently, but not in the kind of sensational vein of goal-scoring form and streak to really suggest you should have, you know, he's absolutely essential for your FPL team. So on my bench, it's going to be a 0-pointer there for the second consecutive time. I've got Valdimarsson, Veltman, Salah, and Isak with these provisional transfers, but as you saw towards the beginning of the stream, I haven't made a single move just yet. So with the captaincy, if I were to buy Bruno Fernandes, the same goes for Haaland. If I have a late change of heart, they will be my captain and Chris Wood's the vice. Otherwise, if I don't buy either Bruno or Erling Haaland, Chris Wood will be my template captain and Kluivert would take the vice captaincy. Now, expected points has taken a turn in the last couple of days. I've updated these graphics as well. And if you look at the ones with the highest expected points, Cole Palmer is now top with 5.5 despite facing Arsenal. I think in Boomers has gone down significantly from 5.6 to 5. And you've got Bruno Fernandes and Chris Wood basically sharing second and third in that podium. But I still think Bruno over Palmer for the captaincy is quite viable this week. It would be a different story for Game Week 30. Like I mentioned before, I think Palmer's a great option against Tottenham at home. But let's now go to the Game Week analysis section, and then very shortly I'll show you the injury updates. But I've gone for Everton 2, West Ham 1, Ipswich Town 0, Nottingham Forest 1, and I was considering a 2-0 victory for Nottingham Forest, but I think they'll get the win, but only just. Man City 2, Brighton 1, and this could easily be 2-2, or perhaps the Seagulls get another victory over them, but Man City's record against Brighton overall is very strong. Southampton 1, Wolves 2, Bournemouth 3, Brentford 2, and it's worth noting that Brentford have a very good record against the Cherries actually, and they beat them earlier this season. Arsenal 3, Chelsea 1. The attack isn't reliable, but I think they've got a very strong record against Chelsea. I think that's 7 wins out of the last 10 matches. And Chelsea have been very inconsistent in the last couple of months. Fulham 2, Tottenham Hotspur 1, and then Leicester 0, Manchester United 2, who have shown a bit of form suddenly with a decent point against Arsenal, and of course, a very big scoreline against Real Sociedad in the Europa League. So this might be very simple in terms of the suggested, team weakness, also the player to highlight with the shot volume and stuff like that. But Leicester, they're just a team to target at this moment in time. And I think this player is almost guaranteed to get a return. Bruno Fernandes, yeah, I really am bullish on him, to be honest. I think he's a great choice. And what you see here, the blue circles indicate the shots conceded by Leicester all season. So it's pretty much consistent with what I've shown you before. And the heat map is Bruno Fernandes' shot volume throughout the campaign as well. And I just think he's going to get into those pockets in the half spaces and in central areas to really damage Leicester City. And not just the goal scoring, he can also provide some creativity as well. So I'm very bullish on Bruno Fernandes this week, and that's why he features very highly in my captaincy rankings. But in terms of clean sheet and over 2 goals odds, Arsenal are top for clean sheet with 38%, joint top to be fair, with Everton. Man United are third, then you've got Forest, Wolves and Man City. Brighton are last amongst the teams who actually feature in Blank Gameweek 29 with a 13% chance of a clean sheet and 15% chance of over 2 goals. It's worth highlighting, as I usually do, the clean sheet percentages are taken from fantasyfootballpundit.com and the over 2 goals odds are taken by DraftHound. And if you look at that particular metric and the attacking data, it does favour Man City, despite the fact they're facing an informed Brighton side who have 7 consecutive wins, I believe it is, since their 7-0 loss. It might be 6, I need to double check that. But yeah, very good numbers all round. Maybe this will help you with your transfer plans. But with the captaincy, a lot of you are going to ask questions today. Should I captain Haaland? Wood? Bruno Fernandes? This is how I've ranked them myself. So in 10th place, I've gone for Jared Bowen, but I will admit, I'm not too keen on him and the other options there. Palmer is 9th, facing Arsenal away. Visser has 3 goals and 1 assist against Bournemouth in the last 2 matches. Evanussen scored in that reverse fixture, despite Bournemouth losing, and I think he's a great option with very decent form since his return from injury. I've put in Mbumo 6th. He's also got a fairly decent record against Bournemouth as well. And in the top 5, I've gone for Kluivert, who also scored, I believe, in that reverse fixture. Foden in 4th. He has an incredible record against the Seagulls. 8 goals and 1 assist in 11 matches. I think he's going firmly under the radar. Chris Wood is 3rd to make up that podium with Bruno Fernandes and Erling Haaland. But as I've said all week, I don't think Haaland is by far and away the best captain this week. I think Bruno is very close. He might even pip him with his current form. He scored a hat-trick in the Europa League. 2 penalties, but they all count. And I think he's a great choice there for the armband against a struggling Leicester side as well. So that is the graphics there, the ones that I've built across the week. And of course, I was kind of building up throughout my videos. And finally, before I go back to your questions, let's go to the injury updates. So we'll start off with West Ham. And Graham Potter said, we're pretty much as we were. No problems from the Newcastle game. So in terms of the injured players, Fulkrug's been training with the group, but still not ready, certainly to start. We'll assess whether he's available. I think it's more after the international break for him, just to get some training in him, but it's nice to have him with the group. And he also spoke about Somerville and Antonio, and he said Somerville is still obviously at the other side of the international break. I think it's fair for the individual to treat their diagnosis and the treatment privately. That's always the case, but Somerville certainly won't be back this side of the international break. I think it's too early to say when Antonio could return. I wouldn't want to put that type of deadline or pressure on him. It's great that he's here. It's great that he's making the progress that he is. Next up is Wolves. I saw Nuno Espirito Santo and I got flashbacks. Nottingham Forest, and he said the following: it's very good. It gives us options, solutions, and having everyone available is just nice to see. There's nobody in the doctors. It's a nice position to be in. So very positive update there for 3rd place Nottingham Forest. And Hurstler said this on Brighton: no, nothing new. So the squad stays the same. Matt O'Reilly still has a little bit of a problem with his knee, so he won't be an option for tomorrow. But he can also use the international break to be an option for Nottingham Forest. Lewis Dunk is getting closer, but he's still not an option. Hopefully he can use the international break so that he'll be back for the game against Nottingham Forest. Next up is Brentford and Thomas Frank. And by the way, this week the updates aren't that extensive. And I'm also going to show you what the Newcastle and Liverpool team news is, despite the fact they blank in 29. But for those Liverpool Newcastle fans, of course, who are eagerly anticipating the Carabao Cup final. But Frank says the following on Brentford: Sepp van den Berg trained the whole week, so there's a good chance he can be involved in the team. Michael Coyote is just a little bit after Sepp, so unlikely to be involved. I expect him to be available for Newcastle. Fabio Carvalho is no longer is a longer one-ish. A quick and good recovery could keep the return to play time down, so just in the end of the season, but that would need to be a top return to play time. It's his right shoulder. The surgery was good and the rehab is on track, but it's only been a week. Rui van Nistelrooy with very positive updates there for Leicester, who desperately need it. He said, we have a fully fit squad apart from Fatawu. So that is good news in time for that clash against United on Sunday night. And finally, with Newcastle and Liverpool, this is the following update by Eddie Howe. Lewis Hall and Botman are recovering after their surgeries, and Anthony Gordon is suspended. Everyone else is available. So yeah, the rest is pretty much, you could say waffle. So we'll leave that at that. You can feel free to read it yourself. And Arne Slot said this about Trent, which is the most important, I think, from an FPL perspective long term. So Trent is indeed not available. He will not be there at the final. He is still to be assessed for how long it's going to take. But we do expect him back in the end of the season. So that's why I referred to earlier in the stream. That doesn't sound too promising. And right now, he's a major doubt to playing Game Week 30 in the Merseyside derby. So keep an eye on that one. But Trent will be sold in the masses today, and his price went down overnight. The same goes for Salah and these other players like Isak, for example. And on Konate, Arne Slot said, we didn't train yesterday, we had a day off, and the day before was recovery. I expect him to train with us today, but let's see how he is. So that is it. You're up to date with all the injury updates, and there might be a few more, in terms of other teams and stuff, and feel free to ask and make sure you got all the information you need. And later in the stream, I'll go through the FDR and stuff like that, which I usually do. But let's go to your questions. I'm sure there are plenty there. Let's go for a super chat first, and I'll set the goal, and then just go through your questions one by one, of course. So thank you to Anish. Hey Dylan, Pickford, Milenkovic, Timber, Kirkes, Nkuku, Mbumo, Bruno, Kluivert, Haaland, Wood, better. Any thoughts? You for captain? So as I just showed you with the captaincy list, I think it's between Haaland, Bruno, and Wood for the captaincy. I would favour Haaland personally, but I'm very tempted by Bruno as a differential pawn. I'm very bullish on him this week. The form he's on, returns in 3 consecutive Premier League games, a hat-trick in the Europa League, and facing a struggling Leicester side, I'd be very bullish on him. But yeah, Haaland is probably the safe, secure option. Despite facing a in-form Brighton side, he is top of my captaincy list, and I think Bruno as a vice is absolutely sound. With the team you have, it's solid for Blank Gameweek 29, absolutely fine. But in terms of like nitpicks and players I'm not too keen on, that would include Nkuku. I know Chelsea have good fixtures over the next couple, but I was always of the opinion that he's appealing against Leicester and Southampton. That's pretty much it. But very strong squad. I like the midfield in particular with Mbumo, Bruno and Kluivert. I'm assuming you've got Salah on the bench. I think that front line is very strong for Blank Gameweek 29 as well. So yeah, overall very good. I'm just not a big fan of Nkuku. And I think beyond Gameweek 29, I think Beto is sellable. And perhaps if you got the funds, moving him to Mateta would be a great shout to prepare for double Gameweek 32. And to be fair, Isak would be another one. I think selling Haaland to Isak in Gameweek 31, I think, would be the best time to do it. So yeah, that's my opinion of your team. You don't need to make too many transfers, if any. But in terms of any minor improvements for this week, yeah, perhaps Nkuku if possible. That would be something I'd recommend. And I'd probably go for Haaland captain. But if you want to go a bit different, Bruno Fernandes is right up there for me. So let's set up this goal. I appreciate those who have been patiently waiting. Let's go through them. Just going to put this up. Okay. So we still have just over 2 hours. Of course, I've started a bit earlier today with the deadline stream, and I appreciate a lot of people tuning in. Like the video, it costs nothing and helps us out in the algorithm. Subscribe to the channel and also hit the notification bell as I mentioned earlier. And let's get this show on the road. Okay, let's go through this now. So Sam says transfers done. Palmer, Isak and Cunha and Trent 2. Bruno Fernandes, Haaland, Ivanovic, Milenkovic for a -4. So I'm not a big fan of selling Isak. I get it, he blanks this week and you can buy him back fairly soon, but that is just one of my nitpicks with your transfers. I think Palmer can do really well in Gameweek 30. I know he's been terrible recently, but a goal against Arsenal could completely change everything, and then he can go off against Tottenham, get a double-digit haul. I really think that could be the case coming very soon. As for the players you're bringing in, I'm all on board. I think all of them are great transfers. Fernandes, though, do I prefer him over Palmer over the next 4? I don't think so. For this week, yeah, certainly Fernandes is much more appealing than Palmer on paper, but beyond that, I'd probably want Palmer back. And then again, you'd probably want Isak back. So maybe Haaland to Isak in 31 is probably the way you're looking to structure things. Maybe you're wildcarding there. But in terms of the players you're bringing in, no problems with them whatsoever. I think they're great transfers. Kluivert or Wood as captain. As you just saw in the captaincy rankings, I'd put Chris Wood in 3rd and Kluivert in 5th. James123 says, is it better to get in a defender or striker for this game week, as I only have 10 players? I was thinking of Raul for Isak just for this game week, then get Isak back next week. Well, the strikers will have a higher ceiling. I completely get it, but I'm also thinking a bit long term. So you can buy a defender like Gabriel, who's decent this week, and then long term, they are just a 7-figure option. So that's why from my perspective and my team, because I'm in a similar situation to you, I'm actually considering a defender. A lot of the forwards you'd probably want beyond Gimmick 29, like Mateta, you're not going to buy them now, right? So why not sell Cunha, for example, to Mateta in Gimmick 30 or 31? That'd be my kind of thinking there. So it's not going to apply to everybody. And for those that can buy Haaland, I think it'll go the other way. Just buy Haaland and buy the forward. But in most cases, I suggest buying a defender. That's my opinion on it. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm thinking a bit long term, not just for Gimmick 29. Yeah, Alex, it could be a good opportunity to free hit for some people, but look, it's not just a question of quantity, it's about quality. I'm not saying I've got the best team in the world. I mean, right now it's terrible. I need to fix those red flag players and then it'll look a bit better. But if you can get to 9 quality players or just get a full house, maybe some of them aren't great like Colwill, I think you don't need to free hit because it could be better used in Gimmick 33 or 34 for some people, but everyone's situation is different. Captain Calfridge says Watkins, Isak, Palmer, Luis Diaz, and Dango to Haaland, Ivanovic, Bruno, Semenyo, Gibbs White from -4. Yeah, once again, similar to what I mentioned just now, Isak and Palmer, I'm a bit unsure about in terms of selling. The others, absolutely fine and on board with. I'm not sure about buying Semenyo. Maybe he goes off this week. I hope he does because he's been an absolute troll for me, but I wouldn't buy him for a -4 hit. If you can, maybe you've got Kluivert already, but that'll be my preference. I'd buy Kluivert instead. And the other forwards are really good. Well, the other players, Bruno, Ivanovic, and Haaland, really strong. Gibbs White is absolutely appealing this week, so good transfers. I'd just reconsider Semenyo. So Surendra says, hey, Dylan made 2 transfers selling Isak and Trent to Wood and Milenkovic. Currently got 11 players. Is it worth benching Greaves and taking a hit to sell Cunha to Marmoush if we find out he starts because we can't afford Haaland, or sell Hall to Gvardiol or Nuri? Yeah, looking a bit longer term, I think Gvardiol would be my favourite. I don't like him a lot against Brighton though, so if you want those immediate returns, I think Marmoush is the one. I think he'll start against Brighton, which I've said all week. Thank you, Esso. Massively appreciated. Is Quansah an option now? Potentially. But once Bradley is back, that probably falls to the wayside. But for now, it's definitely something to keep in mind. Hi, Dylan. Would you do Dango to Semenyo for -8? Appreciate it. No. Dango probably won't start, which is something I mentioned in the last deadline stream. But once again with Semenyo, I'm not too keen on him. I've got him, but I've been stuck with that guy since Game Week 6. Yeah, I just wouldn't go there. Kluivert would be my preference all day long. Yes, he's template and boring, but he gets more points. He's much more consistent than Semenyo for me. Would you keep Wanyeri or sell him for Minter? I'd keep Wanyeri this week. Yeah. You can sell Wanyeri in Game Week 30 or 31. Best Trent replacement? Gabriel. Yusuf says, hi Dylan, my team is Henderson, Pickford, Mikalenko, Robinson, Hall, Trent, Milenkovic, Palmer, Salah, Rogers, Kluivert, Mbumo, Cunha, Isak, Wood. So yeah, 4 free transfers. I think some of them are no-brainers. Sell Cunha, Rogers, Lewis Hall. You could even bank the next one. You don't need to use all 4 transfers yet. But doing something like Lewis Hall to Gabriel, and to be fair, you got Trent as well. That could be a long-term absence for you as well. But yeah, Lewis Hall would still be the one to sell first. We know he's not going to play again this season. So let's see what we can do. 2.1 million in the bank. Oof, okay. So Cunha is a sell, but just like with my situation, I'd maybe consider selling him to Mateta in Game Week 30 or 31, and then instead focusing your transfers elsewhere. But if you want to forward now, I would probably go to Marmoush, or better still Ivanovic. So Cunha to Ivanovic, and remember you can always buy Mateta in Game Week 30 or 31. Selling Lewis Hall to Gabriel, and then Rogers to... Yeah, that price point is a bit awkward maybe, since you've got Kluivert already. Could you stretch to Bowen or Fernandes? If you were able to get Fernandes, that's perfect, I think, for this week. You can bench Trent for now, then sell him in 30 to Munoz. I think that is a very decent set of transfer plans for you. Do I play Haaland, Wood and Isak till the end, or go with Mateta instead of Wood? Well, for Game Week 32, I'd highly advise you to buy Mateta. For Palace, I think you're looking at Munoz, Mateta and possibly Henderson if you aren't going Glasner for your assistant manager. For Newcastle, Anthony Gordon will be available for double Game Week 32. Isak's the standout. And defensively, you're probably going for Dan Burn or Eddie Howe as your assistant manager, but you don't need to triple up on both teams. But ultimately, the players I think are really recommended for the double would be Munoz, Mateta, Isak, and maybe Gordon. Maybe. But he is obviously suspended for the next couple of matches. Mustafa says, would you prefer 60 minutes of Evanilson or 90 minutes of Semenyo? Based on current form, it would be Evanilson. But look, half an hour more of football is always going to be a massive advantage. And he's a midfielder. Extra point for scoring a goal and for keeping a clean sheet. But right now, it's Evanilson for me. Hey Dylan, appreciate the stream as always. Thank you very much, Sydney. Good to see you. Insane Gamer says, hello Dylan, got 64 points last week as I took a minus 12. Got a slight red arrow. I bought Haaland, but I don't know if I want to go Haaland captain due to Brighton's form. I completely get it. Yeah, I think Chris Wood is sound. He's third in my list. And for those with Bruno Fernandes, I'd be highly tempted to go for him. So what I'm going to do now, and by the way, for the Super Juggle to be reached, since one has already been sent, we just need 4 more, and the stream will continue for even longer, and it's already started quite early, of course, at 11 AM UK time. Let's get the likes up to 100 plus to begin with, and then kick on from there. What I'm also going to do is put some polls out very soon. -8 to get Haaland and 11 playing players, or a -4 and 11 playing players. I would probably go for a -4 and 11 playing players, but it depends on the circumstances. So, for example, with a -8 hit, are you selling Palmer? And which forward are you selling to Haaland? It's probably Cunha, to be fair. And for the -4 option, who are you bringing in? I think that's also very important with context. I dreamt of Mbeumo scoring 2 goals. I'm going for him. Dreams, Mark, I don't want to sound a bit deep, but when you have a dream about something football related, it doesn't always turn out the way you want or that you think. But maybe it will in your case, and I wouldn't mind that, even though he's fairly template. I just covered Bruno Fernandes as a captain, mate. He's second in my list, and I've been very bullish on him all stream, so I think my feelings have been made very clear. Haaland or Bruno? Slight preference for Haaland, but it's very close. I think Bruno could actually surpass him this week. It's extremely tight, and I've said all week that I don't think Haaland is by far and away the best option, but he would be number 1 just about. Any Man City team news? Not just yet, no. I'm holding Palmer, ready to swap him for Saka as he's close for a return. Once going with Saka, be a little bit careful. I get it, you want to go for a differential, and before everyone else, I think it's a great option. And before his injury, Saka was rivaling Palmer and Salah at the time, albeit Salah was still on top. But I think Arsenal will just prioritise the Champions League, and maybe Saka doesn't start in Game Week 30. It's just an if. Maybe we don't know enough yet, but he's making big progress, and hopefully he's back very soon for Arsenal. Wildcard 29, Dylan, lots of players clashing with each other. No, not for me. No. I mean, look, it's team dependent. I'm just saying for my situation, I'm happy to just use my 2 free transfers, get rid of Cunha and one of Trent or Veltman, maybe take a -4 hit and go for Bruno Fernandes. Maybe that's what I'll look to do. But yeah, it just depends on the circumstances. I also think not having the information of Blank Gameweek 34 and those doubling in 33, that could put you at a slight disadvantage, especially when you use it in conjunction with other chips. So I'd be slightly careful about wildcarding now. It can work though. You're just a bit in the dark about certain things. So in isolation, without thinking about other chips, I think around Game Week 32 looks very appealing because you've got back-to-back double game weeks. You can move from Eddie Howe or Glasner in 32 to someone who doubles in 33. Perhaps that's going to be Arsenal. It all depends on the FA Cup results and stuff like that. We do have full confirmed fixtures, which I have covered on this channel already, but yeah, if you want to use the bench boost in 33 or the free hit and stuff like that, then you probably want to use the AM later in the season around Game Week 35 or 36 so it doesn't clash with your other chips. So that's what I mean. In terms of isolation, without thinking about anything else, I think objectively the best time to use it would be Game Week 32, but it also depends on your other chips because you can't use 2 at the same time. Hey mate, happy holidays from India. Isak to Evanilson for a -4. I probably wouldn't do that. I like Evanilson a lot. He's been covered in detail recently, but you'd want Isak back. So to take a hit for it, I'm not entirely sure. Is it worth playing free hit? It's ultimately independent, mate. So if you got, let's say, 9 to 11 players and most of them are of good quality, I wouldn't use the free hit. I'd save it for later in the season. preferably Game Week 33 or 34. So it does depend a lot on that. Let me just double check something. There might have been one or two hiccups. Let me just make sure it's all good. Oh, right. Okay, yeah. I get what I did wrong. 1 second. Not sure if I can actually update this now. But yeah, give me a second. Hopefully it can. Yeah, we'll do that. See, hopefully this doesn't cause any issues with the stream, but no guarantees. So yeah, let me know if things are running smoothly. I hope it is. And let's keep plugging away the likes and all that good stuff. I'm going to answer even more of your questions very soon. Let's see. Yeah, we'll wait a little longer for that. So yeah, a lot of captaincy questions today. I feel like I have to go through the graphics a few times, but as I mentioned before, Bruno Fernandes is second in my list, Chris Wood is third. So that also answers Kelton's question. Use wildcard or free hit? I'd rather use the free hit and wildcard in 30 or 31 potentially. Cliver instead of Semenyo? Yeah, I think that's the best thing to do. I think Cliver is more consistent. He's on penalties. I think Semenyo could do well this week, by the way, but he has let me down a lot of times this season. Sometimes I make mistakes benching him. Like against United, I hold my hands up. I should have started him, even though I had good alternatives that week. But yeah, other times I just think he's been a massive troll for me. So let me just show you just a correction, because I think on the bench I had Salah still there with my provisional transfers. But if I were to go for Bruno Fernandes, he would be replacing Salah. So let's see if I can show you that very quickly. If I go to the team selection portion, let's see. Yeah, we'll go here. And we will show you this. Yeah, that should be updated now. So yeah, it would be Cunha on the bench with Veltman and Isak with Ali Marsum. But that's only if I decide to sell Salah, lose a bit of value, and just go for the 1 week punt of Fernandes. This would be with 2 free transfers, no hits taken. I'd buy Gabriel and go for a 4-5-1. It's not perfect. There are some flaws in this team. I've got a clash between Palmer and Gabriel. I've also got, I've got Colwill. I mean, he looks very poor this week, but maybe Chelsea can surprise people and finally get a win over the Gunners. I mean, football is like that sometimes. In this case, I'd go for Bruno Fernandes captain and Chris Wood vice. The same goes for if I buy Erling Haaland, which I talked about in my team selection video yesterday, but I'm not too keen on Wanyeri and the other budget midfielders. So as a result, I'd be more keen on just selling Salah for a week and bringing him back. If I actually go to the other screens, so let's go with fpl.team first, which is a great resource to use. So with the Fernandes plan, if I can get that up on screen. So as you just saw now, yeah, Fernandes and Gabriel in, 2 free transfers, 7.4 million in the bank. Then you could be like, well, why not just go for Erling Haaland? Now, unfortunately with Cunha, I wouldn't be able to afford that. I mean, to be fair, now that I'm doing this, I'd probably be very tempted to do something different. So maybe I'll buy Haaland in for Cunha for a -4 hit. This is the problem, though. If I were to do this sort of thing and buy Haaland, it means I can't buy Salah back in Game Week 31, or Game Week 30. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. As good as Haaland looks for the next 2 game weeks, this would be a big issue for me. So my current plan is to do something like this. Buy Bruno and Gabriel, 7.4 million in the bank, and then in Game Week 30, buy Salah back, and I can also add Munoz and bolster my defensive line. With Gabriel, it also looks very strong, so that's a good long-term move, as I mentioned before. Colwill looks a bit weak against Tottenham at home, but my alternatives are Robinson away to Arsenal and Mikalenko away to Liverpool. I've still got Cunha here. I could even take another hit and buy Mateta, but I don't think it's necessary with a strong midfield and forward line that week. So then in Game Week 31, I could do Cunha to Jean-Philippe Mateta, just in time for blank Game Week, or double Game Week 32, should I say. Then I could bench Semenyo, which probably means he's going to get points against West Ham. And I could do something like this. Semenyo first on the bench. Yeah, Mikalenko second, Robinson third. I think that works fairly decent. And then, yeah, captaincy, we'll talk about that when the time comes, but that looks fairly solid. Even Isak against Leicester looks very appealing, to be fair. Then, of course, for double Game Week 32, I've got the 2 best Palace assets. I've got Isak, and I can take another hit maybe, and then get some more Newcastle players like Anthony Gordon. Maybe I go for a Newcastle defender. Dean Henderson in goal is obviously very appealing, but I've got Sells at home to Everton, so I don't feel a need to triple up on Palace or Newcastle, but to have Munoz, Mateta, Isak, that's the priority, and then anything else I can get from either team would be a bonus. And for those with the assistant manager, using it around that time, I think Oliver Glasner is my preference. But just remember, you can't use the bench boost, for example, in 33 or the triple captaincy, because if you activate the AM in Game Week 31, it's active for 3 weeks, and that means you can't use any other chips in that time frame. But that's one set of transfer plans. Let me know what you think in the live chat. Maybe say yes, or oh, that's disgusting, or I don't know, anything like that. The alternative, as I mentioned earlier, was to buy Erling Haaland and Wanyeri, but I think long-term this isn't great. I'm not a big fan of it. It does mean I can have Salah and Haaland at the same time, and maybe I'll just go to Munoz in for Trent that way. And if I want Mateta, I can just get him in 31 for Erling Haaland perhaps, but I don't know, maybe this looks pretty good as well. Maybe you'll be saying, you know what, this actually is not too bad. You can just bench Wanyeri in 30 anyway. Maybe. It still looks very appealing to me, but I just think Haaland is very limiting to the rest of your squad. And I don't have Palmer against Tottenham, and I think he can do really well in that particular fixture. So let's also go through some different screens and then back to your questions, of course, since we have covered quite a lot already, and even more will be addressed very soon. So first off, the FDR, the fixture difficulty rating until Game Week 34. Bournemouth are top with Arsenal, Man City, Southampton and Forest completing the top 5. If we look near the bottom, you've got Everton, Ipswich Town, Leicester, Aston Villa and Tottenham Hotspur. Even Liverpool are near the bottom, and the blank this week plays a big part. With predicted points in Blank Gameweek 29, Haaland is top with 7.1. Palmer is second with Fernandes, Foden, Chris Wood, Semenyo, Odegaard, Jimenez, Cliver and Trossard finishing the top 10. With assistant managers for this week only, McKenna is number 1 with Van Nistelrooy, Guardiola, Arteta and Iraola in the top 5. Then you've got Amorim, Moyes, Nuno Espirito Santo, Silva, Vitor Pereira, Juric, Postecoglou, Graham Potter, Thomas Frank, Ursula, and Maresca. The rest, of course, blank. Emery, Glasner, Slot, and Eddie Howe. The 4 teams, of course, who don't feature this week. With provisional changes for prices, let's refresh this. So, Fantasy Football Hub are projecting Bowen, Pickford, Visser, Marmoush, Strand Larsen, Jose Sarr, Hudson-Odoi, Haaland, Chris Wood, Semenyo, Son, and Fernandes all to go up in price tonight. And Bruno went up yesterday, so we'll see if he gets a double rise. Szoboszlai, Rashford, Diaz, Ndai, Hall, Dean, Cher, Fabianski, Calvert-Lewin, Kelleher, Keane, Gordon, Gakpo, Asensio, Virgil, Martinez, Emi Martinez that is, Rogers, Cunha, and Ismail Assar. They could all go down. One website I found to be very reliable with price changes is actually livefpl.net. And yeah, they're also projecting Bruno Fernandes to go up in price tonight. A lot of activity for him. So yeah, a lot of the similar names have been mentioned there as well. So yeah, it looks like we're going to see a lot of transfer activity like we did overnight. With stats, I wanted to compare Phil Foden and Bruno Fernandes, 2 of my favourite midfielders for Game Week 29. And even for Game Week 30, I think Foden looks very appealing. But if I were to buy one this week, it's still Bruno. And especially for those looking to buy, or should I say sell Salah, Bruno might make a lot of sense because you buy him for 1 week and then you have no hesitations about selling him against Forest away, whilst with Foden against Leicester, you'd probably want to keep him. A similar argument can also be levelled at Erling Haaland up front. But if you look at these stats, Bruno does lead in most of these metrics, albeit the stats are quite similar in certain aspects like expected assists, even big chances, shots in the box, shots on target, same number of goals scored, but Fernandes has more assists, he's on set pieces, and he has been even better in this FPL season. So of course, fpl.team I just showed you, so feel free to check that out as well. And finally, FPL Challenge, which I'll talk about towards the end of the stream after the deadline has passed. I've currently gone for Sells in goal, Milenkovic, 8 Nuri, Fernandes captain here, just to be a bit different. Foden, Chris Wood, and Haaland. Maybe I'll end up captaining the Norwegian here anyway, especially if I don't buy him. But that is, yeah, my FPL challenge team right now. It's probably worth mentioning I have got more than 56 points last week, so I'll quickly change that before going back to your questions. And yeah, the challenge this week is called 7 Aside. With unlimited budget, you pick 7 players for your FPL challenge team. So I'll quickly rectify that. So yeah, and then we'll go back to your questions very soon. So yeah, 87 points, if I can get that to work. Oh dear. Yeah, I'm not sure what's happening now. Okay, that's... Did not expect that. All right. Let's see. So let me know if there's any frames that are cutting or anything like that. Hopefully it's all good. But yeah, hopefully it's all fine. Let's see if I can quickly change the FPL challenge thing as well. If not, I'll leave that for later. But yeah, as I said before, it is 7 Aside this week. But we can focus on that at another time. FPL, I haven't made my transfers yet. They will be done fairly soon. When should I play AM chip? That was covered before, mate. So in isolation, around Game Week 32 looks really appealing. The problem is you can't use the triple captaincy or bench boost around Game Week 33 if your assistant manager is still active, because it's a free Game Week period where that chip is available and active. So if you are planning to use other chips around that time, my advice would be to use the AM in Game Week 35 or 36. Do not use it in Game Week 37 because it's a free week chip. If you use it in the penultimate Game Week of the season, you will basically miss a week of the most powerful chip. Hope everyone is doing some bench wankery today, says John Walker. Yeah, to be honest, I haven't really considered that. Maybe I will. I mean, who even cares, right? If you're on free hit, what would you take, Vissa or Evanilson? It's close, but Evanilson is ranked slightly higher in my captaincy list, so that would be the answer to that question. Which assistant manager for this week? So yeah, I just showed you the predicted points. If I were playing the chip this week, I'm not a big fan of doing it now, but yeah, for this week only, I think it's probably worth looking at my predictions again. That will probably give you an insight into what I'm thinking. So I've gone for Arsenal to win 3-1. If we look at table bonus opportunities, there aren't too many. So Brentford against Bournemouth. I mean, I think Frank could be quite underrated, actually, if I'm not mistaken. Like I mentioned before, Brentford have a great record against Bournemouth. So that could be very appealing, in fact. So yeah, Bournemouth 9th in the Prem. I think Brentford are, yeah, 12th. Yeah. Very recently, of course, there was a bigger gap in terms of the Premier League table between them. So yeah, I want to go for Frank. If the table bonus was there, that would have been very appealing. Let's see. What else could we conjure up? Fulham, Tottenham. Yeah, no. Tottenham, of course, have risen in the Premier League table recently, so no. Leicester against United, I wouldn't go there. So yeah, you're not really stacked with options with table bonus opportunities. You really aren't. You're struggling. I mean, Ipswich Town against Forest. Do you go for McKenna or Ruud van Nistelrooy? I wouldn't advise it personally. With Brighton's recent upturn in form, they're now 7th in the Premier League table, so no table bonus against Man City. That would have been an option, I think. So when I'm looking at it, Southampton, no, because Wolves are 17th. So I think Arteta, Marco Silva, Amorim, I think these are probably the managers I'd be going for. Yeah, Nuno Espirito Santo, personally. I'm just not too keen. I think for those that have the chip active, you've got no choice, right? You know, you should still try to optimize your play. But I would not be using the AM chip this week. No chance. I think it's one of the worst weeks maybe to have it active, in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong, and one of these managers gets a big score, but without table bonus, it will be very difficult. No double game week as well. But those are my predictions for the game week, as mentioned earlier. So, let's see what else we've got to cover. If Palmer still blanks after 30, will you still keep him? I think context is very important, but yeah, I mean, by that stage, I mean, I'm very bullish he'll do well against Tottenham, so that would surprise me. Then again, I thought he'd return against Southampton and Leicester, and he's been absolutely awful, so yeah. Look, he's been great for Chelsea overall. This is his worst spell. I'd back him to get back on track. Hopefully not this weekend, but for Game Week 30, I wouldn't mind so much. Captain Morgan Gibbs-White over Wood. Not for me, but it's not a bad shout. And thank you to the moderators like Punjabi for moderating the chat. That is greatly appreciated. Sell Tosin for a -8. Depends who you're selling him to. If it's Gabriel long-term, then fair enough, I take the hit. Can you suggest a team created with a free hit? I've done that already on my channel. There's a best free hit team available to you. If I can maybe do this very quickly, I can just load up what I've already created. But yeah, there is a video dedicated to it. I think actually, yeah, I deleted it to have the wildcard and team selection stuff ready. But essentially, I'd go for something like this. So Sells in goal. Go for Gabriel. 8 Nuri. Maybe doesn't start, but just putting the names in there. Mikalenko's not bad, to be fair. I'll leave him for now. I'll also put Dallo, who scored against Real Sociedad. I think Kirkes is decent. Robinson isn't too shabby against Tottenham, in my opinion. You might also be interested in Gavardio. I'm not going there personally. The midfield I'm quite settled on. Bruno Fernandes. I'd possibly go for... Let's see, we'll keep Palmer in there for now, but he might have to make way. Let's put Foden. Erling Haaland. Alright, so we need to find a way to make this work. So yeah, Mbumo, Fernandes. Yeah, Palmer to Bowen is probably the cash cow. And then something like this. Haaland captain, Fernandes vice, if you want to go different. You know my thoughts on it. Backup goalkeeper, you don't really need one, but Areola, just cheap and he'll play. So yeah, Dallo, Kirkes, and I went for Evanilson in this team. You don't need to have a strong bench on your free hit. You want to focus all your budget in the starting 11, but it's also to show you the pool of players I'd consider to start this week. I wouldn't go for Mikalenko in the 11. Maybe you'd go for Dallo here, but I went for something a little bit different on my free hit. If I can just get it up quickly, since I do have it around here. Yeah, you could also go for a defensive double up. For example, with Nottingham Forest and go for Milenkovic or Aina. So that wouldn't be too shabby either. But yeah, that's roughly what I'd sort of build towards for the free hit. But that was all covered in my free hit video a couple of days ago. So let's go back to my team and let's see what other questions we've got. Best midfielders on a free hit. Yeah, you just saw that. Leic says, hey Dylan, hope you're having a good day. I got 3 transfers, planning on going from Isak, Palmer, Trent to Haaland, Bowen and Gavardio. Sadly, don't have enough funds for Bruno. Yeah, it's a shame, right? But then again, Fernandes has poor fixtures beyond Game Week 29. Good transfers, though. I like all of them. My only concern, like I mentioned with a few other people already, is selling Isak and Palmer. I think both of them are great options from Game Week 30 until the end of the campaign. Yeah, Odobert has shown a bit of form. He scored a brace in the Europa League against AZ Alkmaar. I just think Fulham will win, so it's up to you. But they're the better team than Tottenham, and they battered them 3-0 last year in Blank Gameweek 29 as well. No, Martin, I'm not doing a free hit. Richard Millichip says, hey Dylan, mate. Free activated, Pickford, Gavardio, 8 Nuri, Aina, Palmer, Bruno, Son, Foden, Evanilson, Wood, Haaland, Virginia, Sangare, Creswell. Yeah, that's absolutely fine. Thoughts? Change Pickford, Aina to sell Tarkovsky? Possibly. Then again, I'm not that keen. I mean, with Everton, I have kind of deliberated between a 2-1 or a 1-0 win. I'm very conflicted about that prediction. But yeah, it's a strong squad overall. I think Brighton could maybe spoil your party a little bit with Triple City. I think Foden and Haaland will do well, but with Gavardio, I'm less keen. It's a strong squad overall, and I think the way you've structured your free hit is good in terms of cheaping out your bench and focusing on the starting 11. Matthias says, what to do with these chips? Bench boost, AM free, and wildcard. I don't know your team, so what I'm saying is generic, and for most people, it might not apply to you, but essentially I'd suggest something like bench boost in 33. Yeah, I think free at 34. You could wildcard in either 32 or 35 and AM in 36. For some people, it actually might be decent to bench boost in 32, free hit in 33, and then wildcard in 34. It's all different. Some people might even wildcard in 30 or 31, but that is the sort of time frame I'd use all the chips. So basically from Gameweek 30 to 35, I'd use all of them. And for some people, it'll be one certain order, and for others, it'll be slightly different. But yeah, that is the sort of thing I'm looking at right now. Jakob de Lima says, playing 5 at the back, 8 Nuri, Gavardio, Kirkes, Timber, Robinson, Sells. Don't love it, but oh well. I don't like it either, but I was looking at my provisional transfers and what makes sense for my team, and I could end up doing the same thing. Playing a back 5, buying Gabriel and 8 Nuri or Milenkovic and something like this, and having a 5-4-1 formation. It's not pretty. It might not be great for this week, but long term, I think those transfers could work very well, like Gabriel, for example. Start Onana or Sarr. Slight preference for Onana. I've gone for a 2-0 Man United win, and for Wolves to win 2-1. Start 2, Gabriel, Kirkes, Semedo, 8 Nuri. Gabriel and 8 Nuri. And I would start Evanilson. Sell Tosin for a -8. I'm not sure if you asked this earlier, but someone else did for sure. And as I mentioned earlier, who would you bring in? That's the big question mark. But if it's Gabriel, for example, I'd probably do it. Why Foden would he start? Well, his minutes aren't secure, I get it, but he's got a great record against Brighton, which I've mentioned many times. 8 goals in 11 games, 1 assist. Yeah, he just loves playing against them, and I think Pep looks into it a lot. Not all the time. He might even bench him today for good measure, but generally speaking, I think he does like to start these players with a great record against certain opposition. Yeah, as I mentioned before, Ansari, I wouldn't captain Gibbs White over Wood, but if you are feeling it, go for your gut and back it. Also take a -4 for Bruno. Who are you selling? Would be my question. If it's Salah, I'm a bit conflicted about it because you'd probably take a hit back in 30 to buy Salah again. Why are you not free hitting? Because I just don't see a massive upside in terms of what the free is and my team. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe from last season when I played the free in 29 and I got burnt massively by doing it, that's played a part. But yeah, the way I look at it, I think the free could be better used in 33 or 34. That's just my opinion. 8 Nuri and Gibbs White to Horde Diaz out for -4. Yeah, good transfers in. With Gibbs White, he has been good recently, to be fair. 8 Nuri is a bit of a troll sometimes, but good transfers. Bruno and United can do funny things in this game week. In the league, Manchester joke, but Europa League, they're unbeaten. A lot of draws, though, but yeah, they are unbeaten in Europa League. And I've said earlier in the season, they've got a good chance of winning it. And yeah, with the level of competition in the Europa League, I think they've got a good chance. Thank you, Domantas. Good to see you as always. Greetings, my favourite fantasy creator. -4 for Gavardio or a -4 for Wood. Or don't take a hit and play Greaves. I take a hit for Chris Wood. I just think the ceiling's higher against Ipswich Town away and then Man United at home. I know Gavardio's got Leicester next week, but when I say next week, I mean in FPL terms. I know it's an international break, but yeah, it would be Chris Wood. You're saying Palmer had great fixtures, yet he blanked against all relegation teams recently. Yes, but it's a rough patch that he's going through, and he missed a penalty against Leicester. It's the first time he's missed one in his career. I just think against Tottenham, which most people would look at and think, oh, it's a London derby, it might be difficult. I know for a fact that Palmer's got a great record against them, and he's got a good chance of returning. I mean, look, everyone's different. I don't think you have to keep Palmer, but I just think for some people selling him, don't start complaining if he starts doing well. That's just my point. Ken Back says, hi Dylan, Cunha, Palmer, Trent out for Haaland, Bowen, Nico Williams, or Haaland, Savio, Gavardio for a -4. Can then field 10 players but no goalkeeper. Have Salah, Isak bench, and Bruno Clive at start. Will wildcard Gameweek 31. Right, okay, good transfers overall. My favourite would be the Haaland, Bowen, and Williams for free. Yeah. No goalkeeper, that's fine. I'm not sure if it's worth a hit. I know some people might consider taking a hit for Sarr because he features in Blank Gameweek 34, where you might not want to use the free hit there and save it for Gameweek 33, for example. And he features in Blank Gameweek 29, so you basically add 2 extra fixtures to your squad. Maybe that hit could work, for example. I just don't trust Wolves enough defensively to advocate that sort of thing. But yeah, I think the Palmer, Cunha, Trent out for Haaland, Bowen, and Williams is fine. Wan-Bissaka is a skip, which I talked about in my free hit video. I think Everton have a better chance of winning than West Ham this weekend, and I just don't like West Ham defensively. I really don't. Which one? Doughty, Agbadou, and Creswell? Probably Creswell, but it's close. No, Ange won't get bonus points against Fulham because Fulham are 10th and Tottenham are 13th. Weiseng says transfer plan Mateta to Marmoush, Visser, Evanilson, or Vandenberg to Quansah Williams. What do you think for this game week? Well, the forward transfer will have a higher ceiling, but you'd want Mateta back in 31 or 30, preferably. I think Vandenberg to Williams is my favourite transfer overall. Visser to Wood for a -8? No, I don't think it's worth it. And as I mentioned earlier, Visser has 3 goals and 1 assist in 2 matches in the last 2 games against Bournemouth. So I don't like selling him, especially for a hit. Wanyeri or Minter? Yeah, for the next 3 game weeks, it might have to be Minter because Wanyeri, his minutes could be a risk with Saka coming back. The only way to get Haaland is to sell Palmer, but then Dango problem will stay. I need a -4 to even fix Dango. Is it worth it? Well, if you still got a lot of money in the bank and you can do something like Dango to Bowen or Bruno Fernandes, then I'd probably do it. But realistically, you're probably looking at a similar price tag. And apart from Kluivert, I'm not too sure about most of these options there. So I get it. The hit from Palmer to Haaland looks great for the next 2 game weeks. I'm not denying it. It's just, I still think long-term Palmer has something to say. He's not going to keep on blanking. That's the way I see it. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'd be very surprised if he just fails to score an assist in even more games and makes it 10 in a row, for example. Hi Dylan, is it worth taking a -8 to field 10 players, or should I just free hit? It depends on the quality of players as well, but I think in this scenario, maybe it's just worth free hitting. Yeah, I wouldn't want to take massive hits this week. I think it'll be fairly low scoring. Gibbs White or Brian? Is that Brian Mbeumo? For the captaincy, it's Mbeumo. Gibbs White, captain or Kluivert? Kluivert. Once again, with the captaincy list, feel free to refer to it. You can rewind the stream. I did put Kluivert 5th, and I was thinking about Gibbs White 9th or 10th, but he's not actually in the top 10. He's narrowly just out. Maybe that's a mistake of mine, but I think Kluivert is slightly better. Forest defender or Raul? I already have Sells. My preference long-term would be a Forest defender, so that's my answer. I get the appeal of Jimenez, though. And against that Tottenham defence, you'd always fancy an attacker. Would you bench Greaves and take a -4 to sell Hall to Gvardiol or Cunha to Evanilson? That's close, but I'd go to Evanilson. The thing is, you might want Mateta next week, so just also weigh that up in your thinking. That's very important. Ismaila Sarr to Kluivert, a good transfer? I think so, yeah. Palm out for Bruno, but for a -4? I think I'd take it. Now, for the next 3 or 4 game weeks, I think Palm is still better than Bruno. But for this week only, I think the hit can be worthwhile, and Fernandes can get a massive return. Good to see you, John David. Thanks, Dylan. Gonna use the free hit since I'm way back at 3.8 million this season, so if I were to double attack on this chip, we'll try with Man City attackers despite their form. I think Haaland's been in good form, just not like the hat-tricks and braces every game sort of form that we're kind of used to, but I do like Foden and Haaland still. I think City will win, but I'm very cautious about it. I think Brighton could surprise people, but I still would favour the attackers in that game. Joao Pedro, Foden, Haaland, etc. Marmoush. I might replace Semenyo or Mbeumo for Bruno for a -4. If you were to sell one of them, it would be Semenyo for me. But I did say earlier, I think Semenyo could do something this week, and I hope he does. Yeah, Genius Gamer. I might as well go to the graphics again since we're getting a lot of these questions. So these are the top 10 captains once again. So feel free to refer to it for a lot of these questions. I know some of them won't even feature, but that means I'll prefer these options over them. But this will make it very clear as to who I prefer for the captaincy. I've put Haaland top. It's very close between him and Bruno, and ultimately that's interchangeable. Chris Wood is third, Foden fourth, and I've put Kluivert finishing the top 5. Mbeumo, Evanesson, Wissa, Palmer, and Bowen are in the top 10. Maybe Palmer's too high, I get it. Some of you might say, what about Gibbs White, Marmoush, Joao Pedro? They've all been considered, but this is the list I've come up with, and it's not going to be perfect. There's going to be some of them outscoring the others despite their positioning, but that's the way I would rank them. By Bruno Fernandes and Milenkovic or Gvardiol and Gibbs White? Fernandes and Milenkovic. I still have AM wildcard free hit. Any ideas when I can use them? Yeah, so in your case, I'd consider free hitting in either Gameweek 33 or 34. You could wildcard just beforehand, perhaps. Once again, I don't know your team, so it makes it very difficult for me to say definitively. And then AM in 35 or 36. Marmoush or Wood captain? On screen. FPL managers who sold Palmer before Southampton and Leicester game is genius, or very fortunate. I'm not sure if that's a genius. There's a difference between outcome bias and also the decision making. Because keeping one of the best FPL assets since last season, since Gameweek 7, when he made his first start for Chelsea, who delivered over, 1.07 XG, 2 big chances. I know it's not all about stats, but he had the numbers, he had the chances, he just failed on the day. But more often than not, you go against Palmer, against that level of opposition, and you'll be punished big time. Let's not forget, back in Gameweek 6, I think it was, he scored 4 goals against Brighton in the first half. So we know what he can do. So I'm not sure if that's a genius. I mean, I get your thinking there. I think a lot of luck is involved. Haaland's still overpriced, isn't he? Yeah, completely. Sarr to Kluivert, a good transfer? Yes, as mentioned before. Lulian says Kluivert, Mbeumo, Fernandes, Odegaard, Larsson, Haaland, Wood on a free hit. Would you change any of them? Well, in my free hit team, I didn't go for Odegaard or Larsson, but they are solid choices in isolation. Larsson because of the fixture, and Odegaard did very well against Chelsea. In fact, even at Stamford Bridge this season, he made his comeback, got an assist, played very well, and in that 5-0 win for Arsenal in April last year, I think it was, Odegaard got 2 assists, I think. So, yeah, good players overall. I just reconsider Odegaard and Larsson, potentially. Start Kerkez, who faces my Wissa and Mbeumo, or Van Heck, who faces no City players for me. It's still Kerkez. I just don't think Brighton will keep a clean sheet, even if they go on to win the game. Mohammed says, hey Dylan, I have a full starting 11 for Gameweek 29 and 1 free transfer. Should I do Palmer to Foden Kluivert or Wanyeri to Kluivert? Wanyeri to Kluivert, because long term I think Palmer can still be very useful to you, whilst Wanyeri could be a headache with Saka almost, or at least on the cusp of returning, I'd say. Very shortly, what I'm going to do is go to fpl.team again, and for those that are free hitting, I'll show you the free hit squad again, but of course there is a video dedicated to it. But I'll also talk about my transfer plans, and one includes buying Haaland, the other one includes buying Bruno, and I want to see your thoughts because I think that's ultimately where my final decisions lie. So yeah, for the next hour and 60 minutes until the deadline, I will be deliberating between those transfer plans, and all the other stats with FDRs and predicted points and stuff were also highlighted earlier, so feel free to rewind, pause, and especially those on the playback to go back to those moments in time to get the full picture and coverage for Blank Gameweek 29. But before I do that, I'll answer a few more questions and then go to my transfer plans again. Arsenal for me, I did put 3-1 Arsenal. I do think with the, I mean, look, ultimately it's just a few forwards now out, but Arsenal are just light in the attack. I do think it could be closer, and I think Chelsea should be looking at this and thinking it's one of our best chances of winning against Arsenal in quite a long time, but I still think Arsenal get the job done at the Emirates. Captain says Arsenal 2-1 and Howson or Robinson. If it's Kerkez, I'd undoubtedly go for Kerkez. Well, maybe not undoubtedly, maybe that's a strong word. I'd go for Robinson here. I've gone for 2-1 Fulham and I've gone for 3-2 Bournemouth. But yeah, Robinson's attacking potential with the assists is what would separate the two. What's the forward line of Arsenal look like when Saka returns? Saka, Martinelli and Trossard, I think. So Trossard as the false 9, which happened last season, by the way, when Arsenal had that great streak there were certain games where Trossard played in that position and did fairly well sometimes, like the 6-0 against West Ham. So yeah, that would be my prediction. Martinelli on the left, Trossard down the middle, and Saka on the right. On wildcard 31, should we go triple Crystal Palace Newcastle or double and free at 34? That's the problem though with tripling up on Palace and Newcastle. It's not a bad idea, but you're kind of struggling a little bit to get that third asset. So Munoz and Mateta, yeah, no-brainers. They're really good picks. For Newcastle, you're looking at Isak and Gordon when he's back. Otherwise, who's the third one? Is it Dan Burn at the back? Maybe. But there's no Lewis Hall, who would have been very appealing. And for Crystal Palace, Dean Henderson in goal. But would I want to double up on Palace defensively? And their fixtures aren't great, by the way. They've got a double in 32, but I don't see many clean sheets on paper. So, difficult times ahead. But yeah, I think I'd rather double up on both and free it in 34. Gibbs White or Marino? Gibbs White. Should I take a -4 for Palmer to Bruno? I'd probably say no, thinking about the long term. I like Bruno a lot this week, but I also like Palmer against Tottenham. And yes, I also said I liked him against Leicester and Southampton. He blanked. I also think it's a case of good decision, bad outcome perhaps, or maybe he's just in terrible form, but I think that will change very soon. Yassid says I have 11 players, sell Harwood Bellis to Mazraoui and 5-3-2, or Rodgers to Elanga and play 4-4-2. I'd rather go to Elanga. Christian United says I activated the free hit chip but unable to cancel it. I didn't make a transfer. Ooh. I'm fairly sure, yeah, you have to confirm certain transfers in order for that to happen. Yeah. Or you saved your team after you free hitted. That's probably what happened there. But yeah, with a wildcard and free hit, they're both unreversible or irreversible once you activate them. The only chips that you can cancel are the bench boost and triple captain. Sam Hanford says, would you sell Konate to Kirkes for a -4, to bench Greaves, or sell Sarr or Salah to a midfielder for a hit? It would be Sarr, but I get the downside to it that you might want him for double Gameweek 32 and even for Southampton away in 30. He is in good form, to be fair. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly when I'm playing the free hit. I mean, I'm looking at 33 or 34, but I haven't fully decided yet. And it also depends on when I wildcard, which could be 30 or 31. Maybe I save it for later, but that all will lead to a domino effect in terms of my chip strategy and transfer plans. I have a rough idea of the weeks I want to use them, but not, a specific Gameweek penciled in just yet. Suggest transfers for this week and upcoming. Yeah, so I'd sell Trent. He could be out for a lot of this season based on the updates I provided earlier. Yeah, goalkeepers are fine for now. I mean, yeah, Sanchez doesn't play anymore. But you got Raya there anyway. So just start Raya. Gabriel, yeah. Munoz I'd keep. Lacroix obviously helps you for double Gameweek 32, but yeah, I'd sell Trent, add another defender in there for sure, and I would be looking at maybe Aït-Nouri. Kirkes looks very good for the long term, especially for the next 4 game weeks. Okay, so yeah, good forward line. Very strong forward line. I like it. Midfield is also solid, but if you could do something like Trent to Aït-Nouri, Gajuste to Bruno Fernandes, that looks very strong. Yeah, I'd recommend something like that. The only downside to this sort of thing is you have to bench one of your midfielders or forwards, and in that case, I'd probably bench Minter, who you might want to start this week. So if you're not too keen on the midfielder transfer, just focusing on the defence, buy 2 of them, Aït-Nouri, and you don't have any Forest coverage. That should be your priority. Milenkovic will be my favourite. Double Forest defence or 1 and Aït-Nouri Mazraoui? Good question. I think for the long term, it would be double Forest defence. For this week, it's very close. It hangs in the balance, but I would still lean towards that Forest defensive double up, I think. It's risky, and maybe Ipswich score, but I've gone for a 1-0 Forest win. Should I take a 4-point hit or rely on Wanyeri? I'd probably just rely on Wanyeri. He should start this week against Chelsea. The problem is afterwards, in Gameweek 30 and beyond. Yazid, I don't know yet. Because 1, your team and your circumstances are unknown to me. And even for my own situation, I think the announcements of, you know, Blank Gameweek 34 and Double Gameweek 33 and all that stuff, that will be very important. So I think if we get confirmation of Double Gameweek 33 fixtures just in time for Gameweek 30, then my opinion will be Wildcard 30 is probably the best for a lot of people, but we don't know yet. MMK says, hey Dylan, I have 3 transfers and 4 unavailable players this game week. Would you play a free hit in my case? Well, 3 transfers is quite strong, but you also have that for Game Week 30 if you just free hit this week anyway. So, good question. I would want to know your team, though, if I'm being honest, before I can really say yes or no. Yeah, Wei Sing, fortunately for you, Havertz is out for the season after his masterclass last season, but yeah, just one game. See you, Dylan. Yeah, good to see you, Baraf. Start Mikolenko or Howson. Slight preference for Mikolenko here. Any possible double game weeks? Yeah, in 33 and 36. And of course, 32 is confirmed for Newcastle and Palace. When's the best time to wildcard? As I just mentioned now, mate, I don't know for sure, and team situations are very important. For some people, wildcarding in 34 or 35 might be great. For others, I think 30 or 31, but I don't know exactly which week yet because, like I just mentioned, the announcements will be key. Elanga or Gibbs-White and best Arnold replacement? Probably Gibbs-White, not much in it, and best Trent replacement, Gabriel. Yeah, Sartre-Clive, a good transfer, yes, Barmy Army. DRK34 says, my team, Gabriel, Branthwaite, Colwell, Fast, Palmer, Murphy, Cliver, Bowen, Wood, Isak, Visser, Van Dijk, Salah, free transfers, suggestions. Yeah, I like it overall. Fast is a weak link. I'd want to get rid of him if possible. I know he doubles in 32, but Jacob Murphy, I'd look to sell him if possible. Van Dijk, yeah, sellable, I think, even though Liverpool have good fixtures afterwards. So I'd focus on that. Fast, Murphy, and Van Dijk. Keep Salah if possible. I don't know your goalkeeper, but I'd strongly recommend a Forest defender like Milenkovic. Yeah. And in the midfield, if you've got the funds, I think Fernandes looks great for this week, but sellable in Game Week 30 for me. Can Arsenal give Palmerston confidence? Hopefully not. He can get against Tottenham. You know, Dr. Tottenham is a great doctor. I'd highly recommend them. Danny B says, just on Palmer to Garnacho, Watkins to Haaland, rank 180k. Garnacho's interesting. He's shown a bit of form recently, to be fair. He played relatively well against Arsenal, got an assist against Real Sociedad. Good luck to you. And it's a great fixture, so he can definitely do well. And Haaland is a great transfer in, of course, on paper at least. Bruno or Gibbs-White? 100% Bruno for me. Maybe it goes the other way, but I'm very confident in Bruno Fernandes. Lulian says, on a free hit, which three would you pick between Dallo, Williams, Gabriel, Gvardio, 8 Nuri? Sells would be the goalkeeper. All right, so, yeah, good question. I go for Gabriel, 8 Nuri, and in my free hit video, I did put Milenkovic, so I doubled up on Forest defensively. I think I'd still go there. I wouldn't blame you if you decide to go for Dallo. And I did go for a 2-0 United win, to be fair. So, yeah, I think either one works, but I would lean towards Williams. I just think Forest are more reliable as a team and defensively. Richard Milichip says, Dylan, for your team, no need to sell Salah and buy back to get Bruno. Why not Palmer, Trent Veltman to Bruno, Gabriel, Ray, and 8 Nuri for a -4? Or can you afford Semenyo, Trent Veltman to Bruno, Nico Williams, 8 Nuri, and keep Cole? Yeah, great suggestions from you. I was looking at possibly selling Semenyo, and it'd be typical if I did that and he does well, but I can get rid of that headache for good. I'll double check the last one, because I haven't actually officially tried what you just said there, so I appreciate the suggestion, and I'll have a look now and see what I can do. So, yeah, let's get Trent and Veltman out. So these are fairly simple, standard. Maybe I'll go for Milenkovic instead. But yeah, 8 Nuri. Yeah, I think with Semenyo, I can afford Bowen, but I'm short of Bruno Fernandes. And ultimately, like, I could buy 8 Nuri and maybe Kirkes. I could do that, something like that. That looks decent whilst buying Fernandes. The problem with this, though, is I'd still want Gabriel. Yeah. I'd still want Gabriel. And ultimately, Robinson to Munoz will be on the agenda for me. And then, ideally, I'd do Colwell to Gabriel as well, but it's not possible without downgrading somebody else. Maybe Fernandez in Gameweek 30 or 31 could become a Palace or Newcastle midfielder. But yeah, it's a good idea. It's a really good idea. If I could buy Gabriel, Aït-Nouri, or Kirkes, as well as Bruno Fernandes, I'd probably do that for a -4 hit. But unfortunately, yeah, my budget isn't great. It's not particularly great. But let me know in the live chat what you think, and thank you, Richard Millichip, for some great suggestions. Obviously, you did also mention selling Palmer, which I could definitely afford to get Bruno, Gabriel, and Aït-Nouri. I still prefer Palmer over Bruno for the next 4 game weeks, though. Europa 1 says, hi, mate. Who would you captain? So in my captaincy list, I've put Clive at 5th, and I think Ivanosen 7th. Very close between those two, Vissa and Mbeumo. I think it'll be a high-scoring game, 2-2, 3-2. I've gone for 3-2 Bournemouth right now. Milenkovic will be last. Hello, bro. Hope you're well. I use free hit. Pretty happy with the team, but I have Mbeumo benched and triple Forest. Not sure whether to bench Gibbs White, Chris Wood for Mbeumo. If it was me, I'd probably bench Gibbs White. Maybe it's a mistake waiting to happen. But yeah, I'm very bullish on the Brentford and Bournemouth attackers this week. Start 2 of Semedo, Mbeumo, Cliver, and Kirkes. Mbeumo and Cliver. Clement Nagy says, play Dango Robinson, and transfer in Son next week, or get Semenyo or cheaper mid. I just play Robinson. What do you think about captaining Son? I think Fulham will win, so I'm not too convinced about it. In the last couple of matches, Son has been slightly better against Ipswich Town with the 2 assists. I think he also got one against AZ Alkmaar. But yeah, I'm not too keen on that. I think Fulham are the better team. Yeah, I think Bruno's better. He's second in my list, very close to Haaland. That's very debatable, actually. Would you captain Clive over Wood? No. I'll go to the captaincy list again. I get it, it's a very popular question, but I would captain Chris Wood over Clive personally, but it is close. Palmer to Bruno for free. Yeah, if you can buy Palmer back, that'd be great. That's just my kind of take on it. Maybe I'm wrong, but I do like Palmer long term. On what do the double Gameweek 33, 36 depends on? Well, Gameweek 33 depends on the teams that progress to the FA Cup quarterfinals. The FA Cup semi-final, should I say. We are in the quarterfinal stage already. So that's what it depends on. So those that blank in 34, those fixtures could be brought forward to 33. That is the most likely scenario right now. Path says, hey Dylan, Haaland, Bruno, Milenkovic, Williams, or Ivanosen, Bruno, Gvardiol, both for a -8. Which 3 would you choose? Yeah, good question as well. Haaland, Bruno, Milenkovic for me. Yeah, that looks very solid. Sarr and Henderson for 29.30, Southampton fixtures, or Sells for 29.30. Can't afford other combos. Still Sells for me, but I do like Henderson for 32. Okay, so this is what I'd say actually, because going for Sarr and Henderson helps you navigate 29, 32 you get an extra fixture, and in 34 you've got Jose Sarr playing because Wolves will face Leicester. On that front, if you're not really planning to free it in 34, I'd probably go for Sarr and Henderson, mate. If you want to use the free it though in 34, and that's not too relevant, yeah, I just like Sells. He's solid goalkeeper. For me, he's the best one until the end of the season. Raul says on a free hit, is double United defence worth it for triple Nottingham attack? Wood, Gibbs, Elanga? I wouldn't recommend double United defence. I've gone for a 2-0 win, but I am not fully sold on United just yet. And they're not a consistent team. So I think one's enough. Just my opinion. I don't think it's what I'd advise. As for triple Nottingham defence, attack, I think one... Look, the double up is fine. That's a differential. I wouldn't triple up though. And I think their defenders and goalkeeper offer better value than Gibbs White, Elanga and Hudson-Odoi. Free flag players and free blanks. Which 2 free transfers should I take a -4 hit of using the free hit? I still have triple captain, bench boost and wildcard available. Well, I don't know which players are in question here, but yeah, free flag players and free blanking, I'd free hit. Transfer out which one of Greaves or Vandenberg? Well, Vandenberg could be available now, it seems. Obviously, I covered that update very recently. Don't think either option is good, to be fair. Nah. Maybe keep Greaves and Sal Vandenberg because Brentford's fixtures are terrible anyway from a defensive perspective. So, thank you, Path. Savio or Martinelli? I'd favour Martinelli slightly this week. I'm not bullish on either. I think with City attackers, I'd rank them Haaland first, Foden second, Marmoush third. Start Mikalenko, Dallo, Gibbs, White, Bowen. Dallo and Bowen. Close though. And once again, thank you, Punjabi, for moderating the chat. Some of these questions have been answered already. Christian says, my free hit team thoughts. Sarr, Aït-Nouri, Aina, Dallo, Bruno, Gibbs White, Son, Foden, Odegaard, Wood, Haaland. Really strong. I'm a bit, you know, let's say mixed on Odegaard. He has a decent record against Chelsea, but it's a differential. I get it. And Son as well. Won't be considered by many. I think that's a decent set of midfielders. I just maybe reconsider that. And I wouldn't double up on Wolves defensively. I think I've gone for 2-1 Wolves, so I do think Southampton might score. Yeah, I think Forest are worth doubling up on defensively. Maybe you want to go for Gabriel. Maybe, of course, you are backing Chelsea to score. I get it. And so am I. But yeah, I'm just not too keen on the Wolves defensive double up personally. The rest is very strong. Aranya says 7 starting. Let me just get this working. All right. So moves. Number 1, Evanescent and Bruno, Nico. -4, 10 starting, no Trent, keep Isak, Salah. Number 2, Erling, Bruno, Wanyeri, Nico, Williams. -8, 11 starting, no Salah and Trent, keep Isak. Number 3, Erling, Evanescent, Bruno, and Nicola. Is that Milenkovic? -8, 11 start, no Isak, Salah, and Trent. I go for number 1 because Isak and Salah would be recommended long term. It does depend on your chip strategy too. So if you are looking to wildcard in 30, then it doesn't matter if you don't have Isak or Salah. You can just bring them back on the wildcard. The only downside is you lose a lot of value in them. It's a good question. I get it, and I'm in a similar boat as well. I'd still stick with number 1 though. I think even if you wildcard in 31, which might be the case for a lot of people actually. I'm not feeling the Haaland move at all. I get it. It just seems like you're ripping up your team a little bit too much. I get it. Richard also says, hey Dylan, for your team, can you afford Semenyo, Cunha, Trent to Bruno, Gabriel, Evanescent for a -4, and bench Veltman? 4-4-2 looks better than a 5-4-1, as clean sheets scarce this season. Yeah, I'll also play around with that. It's a good suggestion. I'll be honest, I'm not too optimistic if I can afford it, but hopefully I'm pleasantly surprised. So keeping Veltman. Let's see if I can... Yeah, Veltman's here. Oh yeah, I can afford that, to be fair. Wait, what about Gabriel? Can I get him? Let's find out in a second. Ivanosen, and yeah, I can. That's a really good suggestion, to be fair. Do you want to run my channel? But yeah, that's pretty sound. It allows me to keep Salah. Of course, it is a -4 here. I am selling Semenyo, but in this case, it would be 4-4-2. The Semenyo Evanescent move could backfire this week, but looking long term, I do like it. Now, Evanescent I'm happy to keep for next week, and that could sort of match Mateta, who is just coming off the back of an injury by that stage, facing Southampton away. I would probably buy Mateta in Game Week 31 or 32 for Evanescent, maybe even Chris Wood, but yeah, I think the Brazilian would make way most likely. Good short-term pun. I've got Bruno Fernandes for this week. I don't mind keeping him for the next couple. He could become Eze, Sarr, or Anthony Gordon, just in time for double Game Week 32. And I've still got enough money to do Veltman to Daniel Munoz next week. So I have to say, mate, pretty great transfer plans. It's something I haven't considered. I've always just kind of been on the opinion this week of, like, I don't want to sell one of the players I've already got who actually is going to start this week. And I think Semenyo could do fairly well. But maybe I'll take one for the team. For those that have Semenyo, yeah. Instead of starting him and jinxing him, maybe I'll just let him go and he'll do really well for you. But yeah, I do appreciate that, Richard Miller chip. I will consider it. I'm very, very tempted now. I'm not going to lie. Tamar says, I was planning before to AM Glasner 31-33 for 5 potential bonus games, but looking unlikely now that Palace are pushing up the table. One is best for the AM. I still think he's a great pick, though, for that time frame, but my main kind of argument about assistant managing or using the chip in 35 or 36 is that it doesn't clash with your other boosters. So you can easily free hit, bench boost, triple captain around 32 to 34, and then you can AM just afterwards, and that'll be your final chip of the season. So from that perspective, that's why I'm recommending 35 or 36. But in isolation, with back-to-back double game weeks, it's still very powerful to use that chip around 32. It's just, it also clashes with others, if you catch my drift. Even M says, thoughts on taking a -4 to do Henderson to Sells, Trent to Gvardiol, and Rodgers to Semenyo to field 11. I get it. It's a good question. The thing is, you might want Henderson for double game week 32, but I still think Sells can match him that week, and until the end of the season, he is a better goalkeeper for me. Henderson's decent, though. He's actually been quite good. Yeah, good transfers overall. I'd probably do it. I'm actually looking to get rid of Semenyo, so you're probably buying him at the right time. Leonardo says, hey Dylan, who to pick as my third striker? Ivanosen, Marmoush or Beto? Ivanosen. Captain says, Kluivert, but in my mini league, I'm chasing by 100. They have Kluivert though, so what do I do? You can still find differentials elsewhere. That could be Brian Bruno Fernandes or Foden as one of your other midfielders, but I get it. You might only have that one midfield slot available to transfer, and you want a budget midfielder. So if you buy Kluivert, how are you going to make up the points? I get that perspective and question, but I still think Kluivert's the best one. I really do. You can buy Vanossen up front, maybe. That could be a differential for you. There are still going to be opportunities for you to claw back that 100-point deficit. It seems like a lot, especially with 9 gimmicks remaining, but trust me, that is surmountable. Larson, Ivanosen, or Solanke on a free hit. Larson has the best fixture, but it would be Ivanosen for me. I've gone for a high-scoring thriller. Isak and sub for Ivanosen Bruno. Yeah, sorry, I just don't know who the second player is. Maybe I'm being stupid. When you said Isak and... but yeah, sub for Ivanosen Bruno. Don't tell me that's Kluivert. Surely that's not Kluivert. I like the players you're bringing in, but until I know the second player, I can't really say. So sorry, Ahmed. Maybe that's my mistake. I did Bowen to Bruno. Hope it pays off. Yeah, Bowen is 10th in my captaincy list. Bruno is 2nd. I do like Bruno more. Long term, you might slightly regret it maybe, but yeah, for this week, no concerns about it. I think Bruno's a great choice. Hey Dylan, thoughts on double Forest defense? I'm very keen. More so in the long term than this week, but it's good. Very strong. Marmoush or Wood captain? Chris Wood. Gvardiol, Wan-Bissaka, Kirkes on a free hit? Not Wan-Bissaka for me. I think Everton will score. Kirkes and Gvardiol are fine. I also think they'll concede, but they've got the attacking threat, which makes up for it. Farzid says Trent, Palmer, Dango, Isak to Williams, Bruno Semenyo, Haaland captain for a -4 locked in. I like the look of it. I'll be honest though, like my only route to buying Bruno whilst keeping Palmer and Salah includes selling Semenyo, which I'm a bit unsure about. But yeah, it's good to see a lot of variation in transfer plans and stuff like that. In Gemic 30, who is a priority transfer in? Well, for me, it's going to be Munoz. It is team dependent because, for example, I've got Isak and Chris Wood anyway, and if I buy Vanossen, I've got 3 really strong forwards. Whilst my defensive line, I've got Mikolenko away to Liverpool, Cole at home to Tottenham, Robertson away to Arsenal, and Veltman who's injured. So for me, the priority will be Munoz. It's not going to be the same for everybody watching. I just think with Mateta also coming off the back of an injury, I'd probably wait a little bit more for him. But look, I think buying him in 30 is fine. It's a differential, and it's obviously going a bit early, which I do like as well. When you play your free or wild card, do you accumulate a transfer in each of said weeks? Yes. Wait, so yeah, when you play the wild card or free hit, you will just keep the amount of transfers you had before. So let's say I have 4 free transfers, I wild card, I will still have 4 free transfers going into the next week. In previous seasons, they would reset the transfers to 1, even if you had 2 stored. But yeah, it has changed now. Cheers, Dylan. You are the best. Thank you very much, Leonardo. Very kind words. And thank you, Tam R. Get crack. I like that word. Not in an English sense. Captain Bruno or Wood? Bruno. He's 2nd in my list. Chris Wood is 3rd. I'll go to that very soon as well, since we're getting a lot of captaincy questions. Start Vandenberg or Greaves? I think both of them will blank, to be quite honest with you. I've gone for 1-0 Forest. maybe 2-0. I mean, I've gone for 1-0, but I'm kind of mixed about that prediction. And for the other one, I've gone for a 3-2 thriller in favour of Bournemouth. Not much in it, to be honest. I'd maybe favour Greaves because with Vandenberg, he might be eased into it anyway. Dylan, I really need help this week. So do I. Number 1, or option A, free hit. B, Trent and Darwin to Gavardio and Wood. -4, play 10. Option C, Trent, Salah, Darwin to Kirkes, Gibbs, White, Haaland, -8 and play 11. Thank you and good luck. I don't know the rest of your team. I'm assuming you've got Kluivert, Palmer, maybe Gabriel and stuff like that. If that's the case, and you've got good players that you think are fairly competitive with free hitters, then I would suggest option B. MMK says, in my team, I got Searles, Trent, Mikalenko, Aina, Salah, Mbumo, Palmer, Rogers, Wood, Vissa, Isak. Also have Mitoma on the bench. Free transfers, 2 million in the bank. Free hit or use the free transfers. Right. That is a good team, though. And you've got free transfers. I would not be using the free hit, I think. Oh, to be fair, you just listed players who are blanking as well. Like Trent, Salah. Okay, I get it. Rogers, Isak. But, yeah, I think that's still a very solid platform. I'd use free transfers, mate. Yeah, transfers for me. Start my Martial Palmer. Palmer. Also have Haaland. Yeah, that's a differential, by the way. Not many people will have both Palmer and Haaland in their setup. Welcome, Twisted Parky. Mbumo is, I think, 6th in my captaincy list. We'll go to that very, very shortly. Fabianski versus Flecken. Fabianski for me, I guess, but not much in it. Captain Mbumo, Wood or Palmer. Chris Wood for me. Dutta says Isak to Wood, Cunha to Vanelson, Trent to Nico for a -8. I probably would, yeah. My only issue with these transfers are Alexander Isak. You'd want him back. It might require a hit in 30. If that's the case, I'd maybe reconsider that latter move. But the others look really solid. Best AM for this week. I'll go through that one more time, the predicted points, just so you've got like a reference point. So for this week only, of course, those managers blank. You've got Maresca at the bottom. And if we look at those near the top, you've actually got a surprise number 1 pick here in McKenna facing Nottingham Forest. It is a table bonus opportunity, and they are quite scarce this week. That's why Van Nistelrooy is also second. I would personally favour Arteta. Famous last words. I would also consider Amorim. I know United are inconsistent, but a clean sheet is possible. A goal or 2 against Leicester. Yep, looks fairly solid, I think. David Moyes, I mean, he's always kind of low down in these rankings and predicted points, but he always finds a way. He won his 11th Manager of the Month award, only trailing Sir Alex Ferguson and Arsene Wenger in Premier League history. So, yeah, there's a few different options. I don't think anyone stands out, but I would probably say Arteta or Amorim. If you want to go for the jugular and target table bonus, it's looking kind of bleak this week, in my opinion, but maybe McKenna would be your pick. I just don't think Ipswich Town will beat Forest, but a draw would be enough. It would be enough. So, let's actually show the captaincy list again, since it's been highly requested, of course. So, yeah, self-explanatory. You can see the list there for yourself. Some of them are literally neck and neck. That includes Haaland versus Bruno Fernandes. And these Bournemouth and Brentford attackers are also very close. I have favoured the midfielders here with Kluivert and Mbumo, but Evanilson and Vissa are just behind. So that is what I've currently gone for. So whilst you see this graphic on screen, and feel free to refer to it, I'm going to put a poll out and try to lock in my transfers fairly soon, because I don't want to leave things to the last minute and overthink. I don't want to do that. Yeah, Tamar, I'll go for my score predictions very soon, in just a few seconds or in a minute or so. So let me just put this up. So yeah, this will also help people identify what my final transfer plans are, since I discussed a lot yesterday and earlier in this stream, but this will be pinned basically on the YouTube live chat, and it'll be very easy to find. Like the stream, let's get this over 200, it would be greatly appreciated. We have been live for almost 2 hours, and by the time the deadline has passed, and if we reach our Super Chat goal, this could easily go up to 2.5, 3 hours, as I usually do for FPL and UCL Fantasy. So if I can actually wrap my head around the transfers I'm considering, and fit it into the character limit. Big if. Let's see, Veltman, Trent, and Cunha. To Gabriel, 8 Nuri. Yeah, I can't actually fit this in. I don't know why they make it like this. To be fair, Cunha... Yeah, so... Cunha is the forward to sell. Is the forward I would be selling in certain scenarios. Okay, so Veltman and Trent to Gabriel and 8 Nuri. Ah, yes. I'd keep Veltman in that one. So, yes, Semenya, Trent to Gabriel, Fernandez, and Ivanosen. I don't know why YouTube are like this. They make it so difficult to actually put these polls out with the character limit. So I have to wait a little bit more and see if I can find a way to fit that in. But since I was asked about predictions, I'll show that very quickly and probably once more by the end of the deadline. So I have gone for Everton 2, West Ham 1, Ipswich Town 0, Nottingham Forest 1, Man City 2, Brighton 1, Southampton 1, Wolves 2, Bournemouth 3, Brentford 2, Arsenal 3, Chelsea 1, Fulham 2, Tottenham Hotspur 1, and Leicester 0, Manchester United 2. Let's now go back to my FPL squad and see what we can get conjuring. Will Rico Lewis start today? I'm honestly not sure. It seems like ever since Walker was sold and you thought, yeah, Lewis is going to get more minutes now, it's been the complete opposite. I'm not entirely sure about that one, mate. Start 1, Dibbling or Vandenberg? Dibbling, yeah. Kidder says, should I include Foden on my free hit? I would, personally, yeah. I'd probably do it. I think in the free hit squad I showed earlier today, I didn't have him. That's probably something I need to rectify. I do prefer him over Palmer, but it is possible to keep Palmer as well, alongside Haaland, and diversify your attack a little bit. Would you do Palmer to Kluivert for a free transfer or save it? I like Kluivert a lot, but not sure. Yeah, this week Kluivert looks better. Longer term, it's close. Yes, he offers better value, to be fair. I'd probably do it this week. But just bear in mind, I do like Palmer for 30. I really do. Faris puts his team strong. Dango might not start the game, but even off the bench, he can do something. And a very solid setup overall for me. Beto is a sell from Game Week 30 onwards. Perhaps you want to go to Jean-Philippe Mateta early. Easy99 says 87 points in FPL Challenge last week. Nice. I also got 87 points, actually. So maybe we had the exact same team. Ignacio says, Gran Dylan, voy con free hit, solo tengo un free transfer. Mi once, Sa, Mikalenko, Aidnuri, Gavardio, Kluivert, Mbumo, Bruno, Foden, Wood, Ivanosen, Haaland, captain. ¿Qué opinas? Me gusta mucho. No soy un fanático de Wolves defensivamente, pero yo sé que Sa está bien porque jugará en la jornada 34, que va a ser un Blank Gameweek. Y también, obviamente, en esta semana contra Southampton de visitante. Pero está muy bien tu equipo. Mi única duda es que tienes una doble defensa de Wolves. Pero salvo eso, está muy fuerte. Sell 1, Palmer or Salah to Bruno? It's probably Palmer. Yeah, because Salah is by far and away the best FPL asset. I need one in for Game Week 30. Even not having him for 1 week could be just very, very costly. Yeah, I think Marmoush will start. I couldn't guarantee it to you, just to make it very clear. But all week I've said, I think Marmoush will start against Brighton. And even against Leicester, it's, I mean, a lot of weeks to go, and maybe the international break will have a big say on who starts or not, but I think Marmoush will start against Brighton. Thoughts on Bowen on a free hit? Also very strong. And that could also be a way of funding Erling Haaland up front, maybe at the expense of Cole Palmer. Bowen is 10th in my captaincy list, albeit it's not like completely locked in. I do think he's not that appealing against Everton. I think you could definitely make a case for Gibbs White instead, or maybe Phil Foden, for example. But I do like Bowen. He's a very strong FPL asset, and he's a talismanic figure for West Ham as well. So hopefully I can get this poll to work, but it is a bit of a mad one. Hi mate, what do you think I should do with Pickford after this game week? Worth a sell? The fixtures are bleak, but let's not forget around game week 16, 17, we had a similar situation, and I sold Mikalenko, and he kept clean sheets against Arsenal and Chelsea. But yeah, Jose Sarr, for example, is proven to be rather popular in the community because he features in Blank Gameweek 29 and 34, good fixtures in that time frame, and you've also got Sells, who is a solid long-term pick regardless. So maybe you'd want to consider that sort of thing. Sells is my favourite still, but Jose Sarr is not a bad shout at all. Best time to use AM chip? Yeah, once again, probably Game Week 35 or 36 because in isolation, I've said this a lot of times, for 32, it looks amazing. Back-to-back double game weeks, but you can't use any other chips like the bench boost, the free hit, triple captain, etc., whilst the AM is active. So from that perspective, I'd use it around game week 35. Bruno or Wanyeri? Bruno. Best captain for this week? Rewind just a few minutes, you'll see the list again. I've gone for Haaland first, Bruno second, and Chris Wood third. Is my chip strategy correct? Wildcard 30, AM 31, 33, free at 34, bench boost 36. That also works very well. Yeah, that looks very strong. It's well considered. You have no clashes, of course. The AM is active for 3 weeks, and I like the look of it. That's what I mean. There are different ways of playing it. Even though the windows for using chips is quite limited, you can still maybe do things a bit differently. And maybe that's the good thing about the assistant manager, even though I'm not fully convinced about it and it does lead to some massive swings. At least it adds a bit of variety to chip strategy. So I do like the look of that. I don't know your team. Maybe I could find, or you could find something slightly better, but that looks very solid on paper. Joao Pedro or Strand Larsen? For this week, Strand Larsen, but only because of the fixture. And with Joao Pedro's form, it's difficult to back against him. He did very well against City last time out. Yep. Once again, Fernandes is second, Chris Wood third in my captaincy list. Should I play both Mbeumo and Wissa? Yes. I've gone for a 3-2 thriller. I do lean towards Bournemouth in that game, but Brentford have a great record against them. Let's see if I can finally make this work. I don't think I can. Let's just put -4. Cunha is the forward I'd be selling in certain scenarios. To Ivanoson would be the forward transfer in certain scenarios. Okay, I think that would work. Okay, no, apparently that's too long even for the actual poll message. The forward transfer would be a possible... So yeah, Semenyo, Trent to Gabriel, Bruno for a -4. Let's do Salah. If we now go back to fpl.team, this would obviously be quite helpful as well. So yeah, it would be Gabriel coming in for Trent. Yeah. So Salah and Trent to Fernandes and Gabriel. So no hit there. Palmer also on the consideration to sell. And then we can do Fernandes, Gabriel. And yeah, I don't want to overcomplicate this too much. I'm trying to limit my options and, you know, kind of hone in on certain transfer plans, basically. But yeah, essentially, what I'm going to put out now are some transfer plans regarding the midfield and defensive line. And in the case of the first option, option A, that will be for a -4 hit to buy Ivanoson up front for Cunha. So would be the forward transfer in option A. In the first option. So yeah, something like that could work. I was also considering Erling Haaland, which you can see here, with Wanyeri, who I could just bench in 29. And I could also buy Nico Williams if I want a full 11. So let's see. Let's do Salah. No, sorry, in this case it'd be Palmer making way. Yeah, Palmer. and Cunha to Wanyeri, Haaland. That should be enough. All right, that is the poll set. Let me know your thoughts. Be sure to cast your vote in the poll and let your feelings be known. Greaves to Nico Williams for a -4. I'd probably do it because long term, I just like the transfer a lot. For this week only, does it really pay off? I mean, a clean sheet, 6 points, you gain 2. From that perspective, it's not really that infusing, but beyond Game Week 29, very good option. Likewise, Adil, hope you're well too. If I use my transfers and activate my free hit, will my transfers return? No. Who to transfer out? Pick 2, Smith Rowe, Palmer, Van Dijk, Gakpo, Joao Pedro. I'd keep Joao Pedro for now. Yeah, the ones to sell are Gakpo and Van Dijk for me. Despite a good Game Week 30 fixture on paper, and even beyond that, fairly decent for Liverpool. You might also want 2 or 3 Liverpool assets for Game Week 34, but yeah, I think that's what I'd do. Colwill or Dango to start? Still Dango for me, higher ceiling, but I think he'll be benched. So if you don't want to start a benched player, then fair enough. Sam says Palmer to Bruno, Gakpo to Solanke, Valdi Morrison to Sells for a -8. Yeah, Solanke I'm a bit unsure about. I know he got an assist on Thursday night. Bruno, of course, really good transfer. You are selling Palmer for a -8 though. I'd probably say no because of that fact. You're taking a -8 here and selling Palmer, who I think is a better option than Bruno for the next 4 game weeks. OMR says thoughts on Palmer to Bruno, Gakpo to Wood, and Keane, Rico Lewis to Aina for a -8, or just ignore the defenders, transfer and take a -4. My other defenders are Gabriel, Mikalenko, and Robinson. Yeah, looks fairly decent in my opinion. I'm not going to lie. I would probably favour a -4 hit, I think. And just start what you have, assuming that's still a full 11. So -4 hit for me. Dango to Bellegarde for a -4. I'm not sure if I'd do that, mate. I get it, Bellegarde is probably the most appealing Wolves midfielder right now. Great fixture, even until 34. Very good overall, but I don't think that justifies a -4 hit. And you can find better midfielders in the next 5 game weeks. That includes options from Palace and Newcastle. You've also got Kluivert, who is template, I get it, but very consistent. Even Semenyo, I'd argue, is a better option than Bellegarde, I think. That's just my take, maybe I'm wrong, but I'm not too keen. Hi Dylan, hope you're well. I just joined. How did your UCL go this week? I don't know my rank in terms of did I go up or down and where it is. Over the international break, I'll be preparing the graphics for the next set of videos and I'll see. I assume it's either a small green arrow or a small red. I'll keep you posted when I actually go on it. Also, any team news that came out today? No. What was your chip strategy? Assuming you still have the AM free hit wildcard and bench boost? Well, someone else mentioned earlier, wildcard 30, assistant manager 31 to 33, free hit 34, and bench boost 36. That's a really good set of, plans to use the chips. Another one would include wildcarding in 30 or 31, free hitting in 33, or actually, I'd say bench boost 33, free hit 34, and then AM in 35. So those two are kind of like the standouts in terms of when to play the chips. I'd personally favour the second one, but what was mentioned earlier in the chat is very strong. Adil says, I've done Hall and Trent to Milenkovic and Gvardiol last night with 2 free transfers. For -4, I'm thinking of doing Mateta to Wood because at the moment my formation is 5-4-1 with just Visser up front. I was looking at something similar and I don't like starting Colwill against Arsenal away and having 5 defenders, but in the long term that could just be a really good set of transfer plans and it sets you up nicely, not just for 29 but also for future doubles and blanks. Yeah, the thing is, you probably want Mateta back next week, though. And as much as I like Chris Wood, who would you sell? Because you probably have Isak, don't you? You've got Isak. And who's your other forward? Is it Cunha? No, probably not. I'm assuming you got rid of him. Yeah, Visser. So you've got Visser, Isak, and Mateta. That's the thing. I like the transfer of Chris Wood for the next 2 game weeks, and he's kind of a set and forget option. But what about... You know what? I'd do it. I'd buy Chris Wood now, and then sell Vissa in Gameweek 30 or 31 to Mateta. That'd be my my advice there, Adil. Too High for You says, hi Dylan, Gavadio or 8 Nuri. Need your opinion for both this week and long term. For this week, 8 Nuri, long term Gavadio. I just think Gavadio has the attacking threat all the time. 8 Nuri has it to a certain degree. Wolves can't be trusted defensively. I know since Vitor Pereira's come in, only Liverpool have kept more clean sheets, but I'm still not fully convinced about them defensively. I think Foden starts. It's not a guarantee though. The same goes for Marmoush as well. Captain Cliver or Wood? Chris Wood is third in my list. Cliver is fifth. I have double Arsenal defense, which makes me want to bench Palmer and start Marmoush, but I don't know what to do. I get it. If it was me, I'd bench one of the Arsenal defenders and go for Palmer. Could Palmer and Gabriel Hall in the same game? Yes, although it's unlikely. I wouldn't bench Palmer, personally. Cliver or Wood for captain, also covered. Trent and Watkins that need to go. I'm thinking Haaland in and Elanga for Palmer and Watkins -4. Could go Vissa and keep Palmer, or sell Trent for Munoz for 30. Bench Salah, Trent and Isak. Thoughts? I like the look of it overall, to be quite honest with you. There's always going to be a caveat or a compromise that needs to be made. So selling Palmer is not ideal for me, despite his recent form. So if you were to go for Vissa and keep Palmer, would that still be for a -4 hit? That'd be my question. Because if it's for free, I'd maybe lean towards that in the long term, but I certainly get the appeal of Erling Haaland. Martial was terrible as well when Lewandowski captained and Vinicius. Yeah, both of them were disappointing to say the least, and Vinicius missing the penalty. Yeah, I mean, that's very frustrating, but we'll talk about that very soon. I've got a few differentials in store for you for the next set of UCL fantasy videos. That should be good. Is Hudson-Odoi or Wanyeri any better than Elanga? Wanyeri possibly better for this week, but with Saka returning fairly soon, Wanyeri could be on the bench in Gameweek 30 and beyond, so yeah, I'm less keen on Wanyeri now, to be honest. I think Elanga's absolutely fine. Palmer, Hall and Watkins to Bellegarde, Kirkers and Haaland for a -4. It's close, because once again, this Palmer-Haaland debate, if it's for free, I'm on board with it completely. For a hit, I'm a bit reticent, also considering future weeks. But if you're planning to wildcard in 31 anyway, I'd probably do it. 8 Nuri or Nico Williams for the next 2 game weeks? Nico Williams. Is Ivanosen even guaranteed to start and play 90 minutes? I think he'll start. 90 minutes, no. I don't think he'll get 90 minutes. But I just like that sort of transfer for the beyond Gameweek 29, basically. And it allows me to buy Fernandes whilst keeping Salah and Palmer. Maybe it's too much gymnastics and I should just sell one of them. But it's something that has crossed my mind. A lot of people are on the board or on the train of selling Palmer, which is quite interesting. But yeah, very difficult times ahead. This might be one of the more difficult weeks for me to actually finalize my transfers, but I'll try to do it very soon. Hola Dylan, hola Reese, good to see you. Dango to Clive for a hit. I would probably do it actually. Even if it backfires this week, I just think it's a great move for the next couple of months. Hi Dylan, play 1, Robinson, Mikalenko, got Pickford or Vissa up front. I only said a dumb word, I'm not going to say it. I'd start Vissa. X2 says Ivanosen or Vissa. A slight preference for Ivanosen, but it's very close. Jakob says also, when is Mateta due to be back? By the end of the month, that's the plan for the FA Cup quarterfinals. So for Gameweek 30, he should be in the frame to start, basically. Hey Dylan, should I play all of Robinson, Howson and Tarkovsky over Dango? Oh, sorry, I should play, yeah. I would possibly consider starting Dango over Howson. But I get your sentiment there because I don't think Dango starts anyway. When will you wildcard? Gameweek 30 or 31 is a possibility. That's the most likely right now. I'm also open-minded to saving it for later in the season, depending on when the announcements come for double Gameweek 33 and other factors like injuries and suspensions, because I do like my team for Gameweek 30. Milenkovic or Aït-Nouri? Milenkovic. Greaves is starting as it stands. Thoughts on Isak to Evanescence for a -4 and bring him back on the wild card. He's also due another price drop. Yeah, good question. I'd probably take the chance on Evanescence. It is risky though. And generally speaking, he's not going to get many double-digit hauls, but he can get you 8 to 9 points. If Mamrouche starts, Foden will be on the bench, or both can start. I think both of them can start, but we have seen recently it's kind of been one in, one out. But I do think they can coexist in the same team for sure. I have a bit of a dilemma. I've kind of designed my team for a Game Week 30 wildcard, but now I'd like to do a Game Week 31 wildcard. Just worried about some of the fixtures that may be difficult. That's a good point, and a lot of us will have this similar dilemma of should we wildcard in either 30, 31, maybe just later in the season. That is going to be a big question mark. But yeah, I'm just curious to see what your team actually is for Game Week 30, because if it's similar to mine, and I'm quite happy with how it looks for Game Week 30, then I'd argue you could definitely save it for 31. Best midfielder for 29 free hit, Fernandes. Yes, Foden is definitely good. He's 4th in my captaincy list. Great record against Brighton. That is the main reason why. I know they're in great form themselves, but yeah. Is Hall out for the season? Yes, he is. That's been covered in my recent videos and podcasts and stuff like that. He is out for the season, unfortunately. Haaland, Wanyeri, Gvardiol, or Haaland, Bruno, Greaves? I don't like the Greaves one. That lets the others down, I think. Assuming you can bench Greaves, from Game Week 30 and beyond, I'd go for the Haaland Bruno route. My problem with Wanyeri is I think he'll be benched from Game Week 30 and beyond. The man, the myth, the legend says, Hola Dylan, ¿tienes alguna novedad sobre cuándo podría regresar Saka? Sí, como dije en inglés, es posible que va a volver en abril. Ya está entrenando y parece que va a volver para el partido contra Fulham, pero va a empezar el partido, no sabemos todavía. Y yo creo que Arsenal va a priorizar la Champions y no el Premier League, así que hay una posibilidad que va a estar en el banco, pero seguramente va a estar disponible muy pronto en la jornada 30 o 31. Are you still Palmer believers in FPL? I don't think Palmer is... Look, my opinion of Palmer has definitely gone down FPL-wise recently, but I still think he's one of the best assets, so he's not suddenly a bum. He can play football. He hasn't forgotten how to kick the ball. You should do a poll on what people are planning to do with Palmer. Yeah, because based on the results of this, it seems like most of them are suggesting to sell him, which I get it. I'll be honest, the transfers suggested by Richard Milichip are very sound. It's the one that's third in the poll right now, with 23% of the vote. It does mean selling Semenyo for a hit, which might be a bit awkward. It also means buying Evanescence there, again, Gabriel and Bruno. But I like the look of it. I really do. But most people are basically saying Palmer, Trent to Fernandes, Gabriel, or then go to Wanyeri, Haaland. I'm less keen on the Wanyeri one, though. It looks good for this week, maybe, but not for the long term. But I'm going to start looking at my transfers now, otherwise I'll forget to do my team, and yeah, I don't want to leave things to chance. So this was my sort of free hit team that I built. Not much has changed. Maybe you go for Kirkes. Yeah, Evanescence would be first on the bench. And to be fair, you could actually argue you'd start him with a Bowen. I've put Evanescence higher than Bowen in this list. Gabriel, Aït-Nouri, Milenkovic. Yes, it's up to people what they want to do. I'd probably put Dalot above Kirkes, and you might want to diversify your defence a little bit. So between Dalot and Milenkovic for the starting 11, ultimately, Haaland captain, Bruno Weiss, very solid. That's roughly what my free hit team would be like if I were activating the chip this week. Maybe a bit too heavy on City against an informed Brighton side and stuff like that, but that's what I've gone with. Let's now go back to my FPL squad very quickly, and let's start making some transfers, because otherwise I will forget the deadline. So, Evanescence in for Cunha, Fernandes in for Semenyo, and Gabriel in for Trent for a -4 hit. Let me know your thoughts in the live chat. Just say yes or no what you think. But if I were to do that, it'd be Sells in goal, Colwill, Mikalenko, Robinson and Gabriel, with a midfield four of Fernandes, Mbumo, Palmer and Kluivert, and then Chris Wood and Evanescence up front. Looks very decent, actually, in my opinion. But yeah, just a bit of a awkwardness of selling Semenyo to Evanescence technically for a -4 hit. even though I do prefer the Brazilian, I have to say. There is a chance that Vandenberg starts yet, but I couldn't guarantee it to you. Maybe he doesn't get rushed. Yeah, Marmoush starts, not surprised by that. According to Lazy FPL, the newsletter, obviously they broke the news of Marmoush being benched in Game Week 28, so I'll get that up on screen as well, so we can go through it. I'm not particularly surprised, though. I did say all week that I'm very bullish on Marmoush starting against Brighton. I have no inside information, though, like they do. So let's get that up. Definitely one for the free hitters and those willing to take a punt on the Egyptian. So let me just put it on screen. Very simple tweet. Marmoush starts. Just for those that aren't aware. Let's get the stream up to 200 likes. We are very close. It'd be greatly appreciated. And a massive shout out to the super chatters as well. I do appreciate it. Let's see. Okay, yeah, my technology is bugging out now, so just gotta wait a little bit. Hopefully it does sort itself out very soon. Yeah, it is technically a very balanced poll, actually. Yeah, exactly, Adil. It's the last two options are literally neck and neck. They keep swapping. We've had a lot of very balanced polls in UCL Fantasy and FPL in the last couple of streams, but I'm actually very tempted by the Semenyo, Trent to Gabriel, Bruno, and Evanussen one, basically. And then I can do Evanussen to Mateta in Game Week 31. Keep Evanussen against Ipswich Town for sure. And Fernandes could become, you know, any Newcastle or Palace midfielder that I want by that stage. But it does look tempting. Munoz will be transferred in for Game Week 30 for those that maybe are thinking a little bit about what the hell are you doing, Dylan? Let's go back to that one more time. And yeah, I'm less keen on the Wanyeri Haaland one. It might look great for this week, and it also allows me to keep Salah. But I'm just not too sure about Wanyeri. Yes, he can be benched next week, to be fair. But I'm not too sure. It also means selling Palmer, which, yeah, fair enough. A lot of people are on board with. I'll put that poll very soon about are you keeping or selling Palmer this week, because that should be very interesting. But let's actually reset this and go to a different set of transfer plans here. So let's get up my team. Okay. So Trent out for Gabriel. Pretty set on that. No doubts about that sort of thing. Cunha to Evanussen. And then Semenyo to Fernandes. And Robinson in for Salah. And then captain, I think Fernandes would be my captain in this scenario. And then Chris would vice. Okay, and then for next week, if we look at it, Isak will come in very easily for Robinson. I will then sell Veltman to Munoz. I think I'd have 0.1 million in the bank, not 0.2 like it says here. So I would be slightly tight for budget. And then, yeah, Salah on the bench, no chance. He's coming in. And slight benching dilemma here, to be fair. I don't like that. I don't like that benching dilemma next week. Look, obviously, having squad depth is good, right? But would I want to bench Bruno Fernandes, for example, or Mbumo? I'm not entirely sure about that. But that's something for me to think about closer to the time. Yeah, that kind of puts me off from those transfers a bit, even though they're very solid moves on paper. Defensive line isn't great with Colwill, but the rest is fine. Yeah, when I look at the others and visualizing Game Week 30, even the Haaland one looks slightly better, or at least it prevents a benching dilemma there. I'm quite set on who's going to start in the midfield and attack. And then with this one, 5 midfielders, all very solid. Semenyo can become my route to Eze, Sarr, or Anthony Gordon in Game Week 31 or 32, of course. Yeah, interesting times ahead. Wow, I mean, I have to say that's a tough one. But I'm going to start making my transfers now. I'm not going to leave them until the last minute. You might sell Palmer anyway when Saka comes back. Possibly, but as I mentioned in Spanish and English, I'm not entirely sure if Saka will just be rushed back in the starting 11 just yet, in my opinion. Barris's first one is perfect. Are you referring to this one? Okay, well, it's not. What's happened there? Yeah, this one. So with Ivanoson, Fernandez, and stuff like that. If so, let me know. Phobia says 2 free transfers. I have Palmer, sell Salah, Højlund to Bruno and Haaland, or Garnacho. Yeah, Bruno and Haaland looks really good. If you can keep Palmer and sell Garnacho, even though it might not be great this week, I'd probably recommend that instead. So -4 Palmer to Bruno. Ideally, no, because I prefer Palmer over the next 4 game weeks. I think it's possible though, Juniper. He scored against them for Man City in the Community Shield final, scored a penalty against them at Stamford Bridge last season. Obviously missed the Emirates game in the 5-0 loss. Well, he blanked this season. But it's not a bad record against them. And Arsenal aren't great defensively right now, I think. I do like Gabriel long term, that's why I'm looking to buy him, but they conceded twice to PSV, albeit with a rotated side. They conceded to Man United and could have easily conceded 1 or 2 more. Thank you, Sophia. Massively appreciated. Palmer to Mbumo. Once again, I'm just not that keen on selling Palmer for the sake of it. It's only to get Erling Haaland, essentially. That's the only reason why I'd suggest that sort of thing. Marmoush starts, yeah, exactly that. That has been covered as well. Lazy FPL did break the news once again with them. Can you get anyone other than Wanyeri? I'm not confident on his minutes either. Yeah, just for reference, I do think Wanyeri starts against Chelsea. It's just long term. I'm not sure about him. So with that Gimmick 29 set of transfers, if I can find it, I think I've lost the other one, haven't I? No, here we go. So Wanyeri, yeah, 0.1 million in the bank. Yeah. Well, to be fair, I'm being an idiot. I could afford someone better. I could. So let's bring back Veltman, Beniko Williams, and then I can sell Trent to Gabriel. And I can have enough money to upgrade Wanyeri to... I mean, the options aren't great. I could go for a Wolves midfielder for a 1-week punt. Otherwise, if I just decide, you know what, I'm not going for Gabriel yet, I'm going for your friend, 8-Nuri or Milenkovic. Let's just do 8-Nuri for now. I could do this. 2.6 in the bank. And then Wanyeri to just short of Bowen. Just short of Bowen. I'm 0.3 million off. My budget is terrible. But it's something else worth bearing in mind. It's just I'm not a big fan of the midfielders at that price and below. Besides Kluivert, who's already in my team. But yeah, I can afford someone better than Wanyeri. Yeah. At least in the long term, anyway. Garnacho's just a 1-week punt. I'm not sure about him as an FPL asset, no. Fernandez is the only one I'd want from Man United anyway. But yeah, good question. But I basically can get someone better than Wanyeri. It's just, I don't like the options. They're quite poor. I've already got Kluivert, Semenyo can do for 1 more week. Mbumo's there. Fuller midfielders, no. Everton, no. Wolves, maybe. Perhaps you'd probably just say, you know what, why not just go for Elanga or Gibbs-White? That's not too bad. It could definitely be worse, I think. Yeah, it'd be Elanga or Gibbs-White for me. That's probably what I'd do. But then if I look at future moves, yes, I've got Salah and Isak already in place. In terms of getting Munoz, it would have to be Robertson making way. I can't buy Gabriel without downgrading somebody else. So maybe that's where Elanga would come in instead of Gibbs-White. Yeah, I'll be honest, it doesn't really stand out to me. But yeah, 8-Nuri to Gabriel. Yeah, I could do that instead. It's not too shabby, I guess. Yeah, let me know what you think in the live chat. I might just end up going for this and captaining Haaland like a boring little mug. But it allows me to keep Salah and Isak. Yeah, Robinson to Munoz in Gimmick 30 would be very likely. Then Mateta would come in either Gimmick 31 or 32, most likely for Haaland. If not, Chris would make sway. And yeah, it means no Palmer, though, for the next couple. I mean, yeah, assuming I make those provisional transfers, I keep Erling Haaland, I think, for the next, definitely until Game Week 31 minimum, and perhaps I just sell Chris Wood. But yeah, interesting. There's a lot of decisions to be made here. Yeah, 10 minutes. We are approaching the end game now, less than 9. Choose one between Hudson-Odoi, Elanga, and Gibbs-White. If money is no issue, I'd go for Gibbs-White. I might end up going for Elanga instead, just for future moves and to allow me to buy Gabriel, for example. But if money is no issue, Gibbs-White. Start Chris Wood for Gabriel, Mikalenko, or Robinson. I would probably bench Robinson. Not much in it, though. What's the best, Elanga and Haaland for a -4, or Vissa and then Munoz and Mateta for a -4 and 30? Yeah, I think Munoz and Mateta for a -4 and 30 looks really good. I like that. Best mid and forward with 13 million. Difficult for me to say without knowing the context of your team, because I'd maybe say Kluivert and you've got him already. But Fernandes and Evanilson does spring to mind. I mean, yeah, no, that's too much. 13 million is not much, really. Yeah, it's a shame. You're just a little bit over. Maybe Evanilson and Bowen would be pretty solid. Aranya says, Nicola worth 0.5 million over Nico. Well, he does have a lot more attacking potential. He's got 6 big chances. His XG, I think, is over 3, which is very high for a centre-back. From a bonus points perspective, it's not that far away, but Milenkovic does have the edge, I believe. Yeah, and I think if there was one defender to drop out of that Forest side, it would be Williams, but he has been really impressive since becoming an established starter, so that shouldn't be a concern. He offers better value, arguably. And ultimately, with Forest defenders, the bulk of the points are from clean sheets, as they are from most defenders, of course. But yeah, attacking threat, Milenkovic does have the edge. If money is no issue, I think Milenkovic is probably worth that extra 0.5, but that is team dependent, of course. As for my wildcard 30 or 31 question, I have Sels, Fabianski, Gabriel, Kirkes, Aina, Gavadio, Munoz, Salah, Wanyeri, Mbumo, Palmer, Kluivert, Isak, Wood, Vissa. Yeah, I think you can definitely get away with wildcarding in 31. And as for the rest of your chips, good plans there, I think, with when you're looking to use them, I think. Yeah, in certain cases it is advisable to use the free hit, but if you can get to 9-11 good players, I think I'd just save it for later in the season. It means selling this and 30. Yeah, that's fine, Twister Parky. I like that. I think selling this and 30 might actually be the best time to do it. I'm not sure Easy 99. I mean, the ownership is already dipping as we speak, but probably by Game Week 31, Game Week 30, when people wildcard and stuff like that, that's when we'll see people go away from Parma, and maybe that's when he starts blowing up. Get Gavadio, Aina, or Kirkes. Probably Kirkes for me. The thing is, if you don't have a Forest defender, then I'd prioritize that. But you don't need to go for Aina. You can find better value with Milenkovic or Nico Williams. That would be my point. Yeah, good. Starting 11 there, Safir. Sels, Kirkes, Mikalenko, Robinson, Mbumo, Wanyeri, Kluivert, Bowen, Wood, Haaland, Evanilson. I like that. It's pretty good, yeah. Hope you're well. Best striker long-term from now. Well, apart from Isak and Mateta, who obviously blank in 29, I would probably say, yeah, Evanilson from those that feature in 29. And if you can afford him, Erling Haaland, obviously. But it does change things with the rest of your team. Yeah, Negan, this has been covered many times. I would probably go for Bruno Fernandes. He's second in my list. Wood is third. Why Gabriel Vidallo? It's a long-term move, and I think Gabriel and Arsenal have a much better defence. He's also got more attacking potential, so there is no contest if you're looking at Gabriel Dallo. For 29, yeah, maybe Dallo edges it, you could say, but not the long term. Start 1, Cole, Dango, or Wanyeri. I chance it on Wanyeri here. 1 week is Vissa or Jimenez best. Vissa for me. Vissa's in the top 10 on my captaincy list as well, so refer to that too. I'm going to start making my transfers, otherwise it's too late. So, let's see. No news, I think, apart from Marmoush starting. I'm just having a quick look on X. Yeah. All right, I'm going to go to the transfer section. I'm going to start making some moves, I think. I am very tempted by this. Ivanoson, Clive at Gabriel. The only downside is taking a hit for getting rid of Semenyo, but it allows me to keep Palmer and Salah. No Erling Haaland in this case. Decisions. Yeah, I think Gabriel come in for me. Otherwise, we're looking at... Let's see, so... If I were to do Haaland in... Let's get rid of this. Palmer. Yeah, Palmer to Elanga. Not too shabby, I guess. Yeah. I think I'll end up doing this one, to be fair. It's boring, but... Yeah, Haaland, Bruno, it's close. I do slightly favour Haaland. It does me no Palmer, though. For this week, I do prefer this set of transfers, but I'm also thinking about Gameweek 30, 31, and I might wildcard later in the season. So that's kind of my thinking. But yeah, it's a really close call, by the way. We've got 3 options with like 28 to 29%. Semenyo, Trent to Gabriel, Bruno, -4. Sometimes wins and sometimes goes down to second. But yeah, it seems like people are kind of conflicted about it, and so am I. It does reflect my kind of mental state right now with Fantasy Premier League. Be sure to drop a like. Let's get this stream to over 200. It'd be greatly appreciated. And let's also push on towards new goals, like 33,000 subscribers. We are getting very close towards that milestone. Now, I would have a bench dilemma next week. I think Elanga would probably drop to the bench in this case. No Palmer. I don't know. There's something about me that thinks Palmer has something to say. Maybe I'm being stupid. Maybe I am. But I think I'm going for this. Yeah. In the end, I think I'm going for Haaland, which I did discuss in my team selection. I could bring Ivanoson in for a hit, but without a hit. The thing is, in that scenario where in option A, I buy Gabriel and Bruno Fernandes, to get a full starting 11, I'd need to sell Cunha to Ivanoson. That's the problem with that plan. I like it a lot, but it means selling Semenyo to Ivanoson for a hit, which I'm not a big fan of, to be quite honest with you. I think I'm going to do Haaland, but I don't like it. Yeah, same here. I'm not a big fan of it, and I just think, well, yeah, you know what? I'm making a late decision here, and I'm going to do a YOLO, you could say. I'm going to buy Bruno Fernandes. Let's keep Palmer. And let's get Ivanoson. I'm taking a hit. I'm finally getting rid of Semenyo. I'm sick of him. He's going to score. So enjoy the points, everyone. Congratulations. Richard Milichip, well done. I appreciate the kind words and the suggestions. So Trent, Semenyo, and Cunha are out for Gabriel, Fernandes, and Ivanoson. That's done. So no Haaland for me. Yep. So we'll see how well he does. Doesn't really matter with bench wankery, as people say. Apologies for the kids watching and the, you know, we want to be PG still. Captain. Yeah, I think Fernandes, captain. Wood, vice. That is kind of where I am at. Yeah. Something a bit different, I guess. Let's see if Bruno Fernandes blanks and really pisses me off. Yeah, we are locked in. Literally last minute. 4-4-2. I've taken Semenyo out for a hit. Fernandes is my captain, and the team is saved. Just in time, I think. It must have been like seconds. I'm kind of used to this by now. But I'll be honest, like with the Fernandes route, this kind of path I've taken compared to getting Haaland, they're all pros and cons. There's nothing perfect. But yeah, that's what I've ended up doing. Let me know what you think. I'm going to end this poll. Thank you to those that voted. In the end, the transfers I went for, could I even say they won? I mean, it's 29%. So does the other options of Wanyeri, Haaland, or Fernandes, Gabriel. I'm guessing if I put Elanga or somebody else for Wanyeri, that would have probably ended up winning. But there you go. Yes, Deadline Chaos is a good way to sum it up. We did get a decent number of votes. Let's get close towards 200 plus likes. And for those watching on the playback, I do appreciate you watching. And those watching live, of course, thank you very much. We'll see how that goes. It probably will go tits up. Haaland scores a brace or a hat-trick. Semenyo will score, and I'll be like, why did I take that hit? But I've made my bed. Let's see what happens. And we move. So, I'm going to put up FPL Challenge. This is my current squad. And yeah, because I've got Bruno captain, let's not double jinx him. Let's go for Haaland captain here. Let's refresh that and bring that down a little bit. So I've gone for Sells in goal, who I've also got on my FPL team. Milenkovic, Ait-Nouri, Fernandes, Foden, Chris Wood, and Haaland captain. I'm also quite bullish on the Bournemouth and Brentford attackers. Visser, Evanilson, Mbumo, and Kluivert. But I've gone for this structure here, a 2-2-2 formation with a goalkeeper. 7 aside is the challenge. And let me see if I can quickly... Oh, this was open the whole time. Okay. I'm going to quickly see if I can change the challenge thing on screen. So yeah, 7 aside. Okay, it's all done there. Don't need to do anything. Should change any moment. And we can go back to your questions and see what you lot are thinking. Okay, we'll close that. Oh, it's let me have to refresh that. Bloody annoying. There we go, that should work now. Alright, so I'll leave that on for a little while longer. And hoping for a Dango miracle. Good luck, SOCLH. Is Haaland a safer option? Yeah, Haaland for me is one of the safest options in terms of effective ownership and stuff like that, but I don't see a massive difference between him and Bruno and even Chris Wood for the captaincy. I could go either way between those three for me. I'm going without Haaland, wish me luck. Yeah, I definitely do, because I've gone without him as well. I could have gone to him with Elanga. Sold Wanyeri to Elanga. Yeah, I like that. For this week it's close, I think, but long-term Elanga is a better option, I think. Wanted to captain Evanilson for a second, but went with Wood. Evanilson is really high up in my captaincy list, which I'll show you again now, but Chris Wood is third. And I have ended up pretty much thinking with what I said there. Bruno is second in my list, and he's in my team, so I ended up captaining him. Hopefully he doesn't blank. It'd be typical, right? But he is on a hot streak. They do come to an end eventually, and maybe Leicester have something in store for us. Hope it goes through. Yeah, it did. It said saved, so we are all locked in. All confirmed at the last minute. Last second, you could say. Yeah. It's just I wasn't too convinced about either that route or the Haaland one, or even in other cases selling one as Salah or Palmer. In the end, I've decided to try keep those two and Isak whilst buying Bruno instead. Would captain like me? Let's go, man. Well, no, I have gone for Bruno Fernandes in the end, and I think it's saved. If it didn't, I don't really mind. Maybe it's a blessing in disguise, but I'm fairly sure it did save my Bruno captain. Sold Palmer to start in Gameweek 30. Sold Beto, so you're going to sell. Beto to Mateta in 31. Wood to Isak 32. And Wildcard in 33. Yeah, a lot of different strategies, which is great to witness. And those transfer plans are very solid. Thank you, Jakob. Good luck, Dylan, mate. Looking forward to the next stream. Yeah, it could be one tomorrow, and it could go tits up, and you'll see a funny reaction of me just cussing FPL and everyone in it like Semenyo. But no one to blame but myself if selling him backfires. You can bring in Haaland on wildcard still. Yeah, exactly, and I might wildcard in 30 or 31 anyway. I'm kind of hoping Brighton have something for us, maybe a draw or a win at the Etihad, and they keep Haaland quiet. That'd be great. Good luck as well, Anish. Don't hate me if Semenyo hauls now. I'll probably hate him more than anyone else, not you. But I did say, like, I think he can do well this week. But do I prefer having Evanilson long term? Yes. Is Fernandes worth upgrading on? Yeah. So I don't really mind just getting rid of him. Let's put it this way. Would I rather sell Semenyo or Palmer or Salah? going to be Semenyo still, even if he features whilst Salah doesn't. I think Foden will start. Yeah, as mentioned before, Jakob, I'm not sure if you asked this in another stream, but La Scaloneta is basically a reference to the Argentinian national team, the manager, Lionel Scaloni. There is like an apodo, a nickname for the squad, and they call it La Scaloneta. So that's pretty much what it comes down to. FPL Challenge sells Aina Nuri, Bruno captain, Gibbs White, Wood, Haaland, rank 4,021 in the world. Very strong, and that's a good squad. I never have this uncomfortable bringing in a premium asset that loads of others are getting. Oh, right, you ended up getting Haaland, didn't you? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe you're just fancying Brighton to win and to, you know, maybe end your FPL hopes a little bit this week, but I'd always take a club win over FPL points, to be fair. Thank you, Christian United. I also appreciate your time and your comments and questions. You reckon you'll be on a green without taking a hit itself? Difficult to say. Probably not, will be my guess, but if I can somehow end up getting a green arrow, I'd be pleasantly surprised. Maybe taking the hit was the wrong thing to do, to be fair. Adil says, I was thinking the same with my team as what you said, so I'll do the -4 and sell Mateta to Wood this game week, then do Vissa back to Mateta next game week, which leaves me with Mateta, Wood and Isak. That is my favourite front three. And that's something else I weighed up with Haaland. Of course, I could just wildcard next week anyway, but maybe I'll decide, you know what? Yeah, with Haaland, I don't want to sell him against Leicester. And then going into game week 31, oh, I also don't want to sell him, but I also want Mateta. You've got to balance these things out, right? Keeping my 5 game week 29 blankers, Salah, Isak, etc. So one with free hit. How many more points do I need to get on it for it to be a success? Asking you so I don't make it too easy on myself. Well, that's all relative, right? With the free hit, though, if you can gain 20 or more points, that's a fairly decent output. I can't remember exactly how it went last season. I know Blank Gameweek 29 was a disaster, and I played the free hit there, but in terms of what I gained from my non-free hit team, I think it was very close. It might have been less than 10 points, and considering how low scoring it was anyway, it would have been better for me to use the free hit later in the season in a double or Blank Gameweek, so yeah, I think in this context, if you can gain 20 or more, that is a relative success. Aranya says, I did a -8 and got Haaland, Bruno, Ivanovic and Milenkovic. I like that. There aren't going to be many 2 weeks where I can bet against players like Salah and Isak and not worry about getting burned, so I figured why not. Yeah, I think that's fairly sound. I also have Palmer and Bowen, so I've practically covered as many teams as possible. Besides, I'm chasing ranks in my mini-league, and this week could be the difference. Yeah, of course, with our situations, I took a hit, you took a -8. It will be challenging to get a green arrow, but I think you're in a better position possibly with a lot of the best options covered. Because I have Bowen, I decided to bench Mikalenko over Robinson. In both matches, I went for 2-1 victories for the home side. Robinson has more attacking threat, so I don't think that's a bad idea. Haaland, Wood or Bruno captain. Haaland first, Bruno second, Wood third. Captain Wood over Bruno because I'm scared of his EO. I was thinking about going Wood last second, but obviously I ran out of time anyway. Gary says sold the lap for Marmoush, but I missed the deadline. Well, if you've got a lot of blankers in your starting 11 and stuff and you didn't sort that out, auto subs will help you anyway, but yeah, maybe that wasn't ideal for captaincy or maybe transfers. My locked free hits, says Badder, Anana, Kirkes, Aina, Gavardio, Savio, Gibbs, White, Clivert, Fernandez, Wood, Ivanovic, Haaland captain. Really strong stuff. I'm not completely sold on Savio, but maybe he'll surprise me today. Would wildcard for 30 be a good option? Yes. I think if we get the kind of confirmation of double Game Week 33 just before the Game Week 30 deadline, then yeah, I think that'll be a great time to wildcard. Otherwise, I'd maybe prioritize 31. What's the highest overall rank you've ever been, not just at the end of the season? Within the top 10k. I just can't remember exactly where. Maybe 7, 8k, yeah. Will Liverpool knock out from the Champions League? Is Salah Ballon d'Or hope over? He's still got a chance, but I think it has taken a major dent because he ghosted in both games, if we're honest. In the Champions League phase, I think there are many better players like Rafinha. I think he's currently the front runner now. Adil says, I went the whole season so far with 0 Forest players, and now in this one I bought 2. Yeah, things change quickly. Better late than never, of course. I bet you've been asked this loads, but was wondering about where you're from. Well, I do have the Argentina flag for a reason. I don't have it for show. you can't see it. Well, yeah, you can see it now. It's on the right-hand side of your screen. But yeah, basically, my family are from Argentina. I got double nationality, so that's how I can speak Spanish. I basically speak at home all the time. But my English is still very much better, for sure. I'm trying to learn it and understand little bits. Yeah, I always say to people trying to learn a new language, and I mean, I only know two, but the best thing to do is to watch things, movies, listen to music. I think reading books is the best way. And of course, there are different kind of like sources and stuff and websites where you can learn stuff very easily. But on top of that, I think it's very good to watch and listen to different sorts of media. Dara says, I wildcarded Thoughts Dylan, Ariola, Gabriel, Gavardio, Nico Williams, Bruno, Clivert, Semenyo, Alanga, Hallen, Captain, Wood, Ivanosen, Henderson, Salah, Munoz, Livramento. Triple Bournemouth attack is interesting. I probably wouldn't go that far. I would have preferred Kirkus or Howson if you wanted to triple up instead of one of Semenyo or Vanosen. I think Semenyo's the weak link, personally. But it's a really good squad. It's well thought out. You've got good players set up for double Gameweek 32, Blank Gameweek 34 as well. It's a good squad overall. It's an awkward time to wildcard, but I think that could do fairly well. Last year, free hit 12 points, hopefully 100 this year. Oh, 12 points. I can't remember exactly what I got. I think it was 20, maybe 21, but it was still terrible. It was the worst week I could ever think of. I mainly wanted Haaland for Leicester, didn't want him versus us. Yeah, I get that. I'm also maybe going to make a big mistake going without him for Gameweek 30 unless I wildcard. Our record at the Etihad not good from most recent 2-1s, 3-1s, 3-0, 1-0, 4-0, 2-0, 3-1. We never got a point there. Yeah, City's record is great against Brighton, but it is a different Man City team this season. I've gone for 2-1 in my prediction. Brighton 3-2 win would suit me, but I would take a Haaland blank for a Brighton win. Yeah, and so would I. Dylan, what do you think about the double tap disallowed pen from your fellow Argentinian? I don't know. Apparently the technology said that he touched it twice. I couldn't see it personally. Some people showed certain angles where it seemed like it did. In most angles I've seen, it doesn't seem like it had a double touch. So, I don't know. The way I see it is, would that have gone the other way if Madrid, let's say Vinicius double hit it? Let's say if he double hit it. This exact same situation, Vinicius did it, not Alvarez, and it's for Real Madrid. I don't think that gets cancelled. That's my opinion. Matthias says, EPL should be more transparent with the rules regarding blank game weeks. Example, don't you think that for Gameweek 34, if you play in Europe, your match would be rescheduled for Gameweek 33, and if not, play in midweek 34? Yeah, but a lot of times they kind of schedule things with the TV companies, and they will have a big say on when certain games get rescheduled to. So that's why there isn't a lot of transparency, and they still kind of give people weeks, advance notice, maybe sometimes a few weeks before. But yeah, I get your point. Maybe they should be more transparent, but we have a good idea anyway of the blanks and doubles and when certain fixtures could fall under, but not the full picture. For example, double Gameweek 25 was a little bit surprising. Are PSG this season better than when they had Messi, Mbappe and Neymar? At the moment, it looks like it. As an all-round team, yeah, they played some great football against Liverpool. But let's not forget, they finished 15th or something like that in the Champions League phase. So they did start off quite poorly, but now they're showing great form. Yeah, definitely the best way, like you said, and I get what you mean. I was born in Poland, but came here when I was young, and now find my English to be a bit better, even though I speak Polish at home. Yeah, when you kind of grow up in a certain country and you speak that language, yeah, it's kind of just imprinted in you. Why do you have 2 red players, and which transfers did you do? Oh yeah, I made these transfers. I took a -4 hit. I don't know. You could definitely be like, what are you doing? I bought Gabriel for Trent Alexander-Arnold. Very standard stuff. I sold Semenyo to Bruno Fernandes and bought Ivanosen up front for a hit. But the kind of thinking here was to keep Salah and Palmer and also Isak. And I've got enough money in the bank to buy Munoz next week, and he can come in for Veltman. Future moves would also include Mateta in for Ivanosen, probably around Gameweek 31 or 32. And I could also buy a Palace or Newcastle asset elsewhere. Maybe I'd go for a Newcastle one like Anthony Gordon in the midfield when the time comes, and Fernandes could be that cash cow, but we'll see how it goes. I am kind of going very risky, taking a hit and not getting Haaland in. Yeah, probably going to be a recipe for disaster, but that's what I ended up going for. The double tap was not clear enough. I do think there is definitely a Real Madrid bias. Not just these days, though. It's always been like that. During the 21-22 season, there was a game week where my overall rank was 1,433. Wow, that very good rank and so close to the top 1K, but yeah, still a very impressive place to be. Yeah, the double hit from Alvarez was sad, but the Rudiger penalty where Oblak had a hand to it was just heartbreaking. Just as heartbreaking. He should have saved it. He really should have, but it's difficult to save penalties. There were even people claiming that the video UEFA released proving the double touch was edited. I saw that. I'm not sure if they edited it or not. I mean, I don't think UEFA would, but yeah, it wouldn't completely surprise me. I believe Foden is benched. Very weird considering his record against Brighton. Wow. Yeah, same here. I thought he'd start, and I have said, all week that I do think Foden, or Pep Guardiola likes these players with a great record against certain opposition, and he'll play them more often than not. But yeah, it looks like I've jinxed them, so I'll have a look now. We'll go through the lineups for the early kickoff. But yeah, I think, of course, first off, we've got Everton, West Ham, Ipswich Town Forest, City Brighton, and Southampton Wolves. A lot of games coming up very soon. And then Bournemouth Brentford, which might be the stab, the knife in the back, maybe. Just selling Semenyo for here. He's going to do as well. I know it for sure. I hope I jinx him, but probably not. Let's go through these lineups very quickly before wrapping up, and we'll call it a day. There could be a reaction stream tonight. I'll keep you posted on it, but if not, it will be tomorrow. And yeah, we'll go through the Everton lineup first. So Pickford in goal, O'Brien, Tarkowski, Branthwaite, Mikalenko, Idrissa Gana Gay, Ghana, Doucouré, Harrison, Alcaraz, and Beto. Let's now go to West Ham's lineup. So Lucas Paqueta has returned. That's a big boost there for the Hammers. Areola, Wan-Bissaka, Mavropanos, Hillman, Todibo, Emerson, Soucek, Ward-Prowse, Paqueta, Bowen, and Kudus. Next up, I'm going to bring Ipswich Town and Forest. We'll start off with the home side. So Ipswich Town. Palmer, O'Shea, Wolfenden, Greaves, Davis, Phillips, Cajuste, Philogene, Hutchinson, Enciso, and Delap. And then let's now bring in the third place Nottingham Forest. Okay, as you were with Forest, no surprises it seems. Sells in goal, Murillo, Williams, Anderson, Gibbs-White, Chris Wood, Hudson-Odoi, Dominguez, Elanga, Milenkovic, and Aina. Yeah, so pretty much what you'd expect. And finally, let's bring up Man City. No, we've still got a few more. I'll show you the Wolves and the Southampton lineups as well. But let's bring up Man City first. With some surprising news, you could say. Phil Foden benched, it looks like. And Rico Lewis does start. I was asked about him earlier, and my honest answer was, I don't know. So, Ortega Moreno in goal, Rico Lewis, Kusanov, Diaz, and Gavardio in the backline, Nico Gonzalez, Gundogan, Savio, Marmoush, Doku, and Haaland. Let's go to Brighton. Hopefully the Seagulls have something in store for me. But, yeah. Let's get this up. Verbruggen, Webster, Joao Pedro, Jorginho Rota, Minter, Baleba, Mitoma, Gomez, Van Heck, Estupinian, and Hinselwood. Let's now go for the final set of lineups and let me know your thoughts in the live chat as always. We'll start off with Southampton. Let's see what they've gone for. Ramsdale, Sugawara, Walker-Peters, Harwood-Bellis, Bella Kotchap, Manning, Ogochukwu, Aribo, Fernandez, Kamladin, and Dibling. Kamaldeen, should I say. Apologies. Anyway, Wolves, last but not least, they have some interesting FPL assets, and I own none of them. We'll see how that goes as well. So hopefully Southampton could score. No offense to any 8 Nuri or Jose Sarr owners. But Jose Sarr is in goal. Semedo, Doughty, Agbadu, Totti Gomez, 8 Nuri, Andre, Joao Gomez, Menetzi, Bellegarde, and Strand Larsen. So yeah, Sarabi on the bench. I just don't like his minutes. That's why I haven't recommended him. But there you go. Those are all the lineups covered on this channel for the 3 PM kickoffs. We also have a game later on between Bournemouth and Brentford, and several more on Sunday, which includes the Carabao Cup final. But yeah, I'll keep you posted on the reaction stream. Let me know when you want to see it. But if possible, I'll do it today. This is how my team looked like before transfers, and now I have upgraded it, you could say. But I sold Semenyo for a hit to Bruno Fernandes. Ivanosen has come in. I've captained Bruno, and Gabriel has replaced the injured Trent Alexander-Arnold. Veltman to Munoz is on the cards for Gameweek 30, and perhaps our wildcard in 31, but nothing is set in stone with my chip strategy. The only chips I've got left include the wildcard, free hit, and the bench boost. All the others have been used. UEFA spoiling Perez to get content with the new format and knock off the Super League thing. He does have a lot of say in La Liga and UEFA. I definitely agree with that, but I don't know. Maybe you're right. Early kickoff could be scary, especially for Haaland and Wood captaincy. It's mainly with 12:30 kickoffs. I mean, we've got so many games going on at the same time. Does it really class as an early kickoff? I mean, I don't know. It technically is, but UCL do make quicker decisions than Prem, but to decide that in a minute raises questions. Also, Paramount Plus said not the chip in the ball to detect 2 hits, which is odd. Yeah, I don't know. For me, it's just very strange. When I saw it live, I was completely bamboozled by it. Yeah, Fantasy Challenge Squad I went through earlier. I'll probably go for it one more time. Matias says, if you are Teta, give me your Arsenal starting lineup for the first match against Real Madrid. Assuming these players are all fit and available by then, fingers crossed. Raya in goal. I would personally go for Ben White as a right back. People forget how good he is. He offers a lot going forward. And with that trio on the right with Odegaard and Saka, that works very well. I'd put Timber on the left. I don't think that will happen though. I think White might still be a substitute by then, and a lot depends on his fitness. But my 11 would be White, Timber, Gabriel Saliba, Partey, Odegaard, Rice, Saka, Martinelli, Trossard. Best mid for 5.3 million apart from Wanyeri, Elanga. I like Vinicius, but after that pen ball, I am selling from my UCL fantasy. I'm doing crap anyways. He is facing Arsenal next though. I know it's a good defence on paper, but Real Madrid, for me, are the heavy favourites. I'm surprised that Opta have put Arsenal as the slight front runners there, but there you go. Did you watch the game? Did you see that clear handball on Giuliano Simeone? For once, I think that the ref favoured Atleti. Also, the red card on Lenglet. I'm not sure about that, mate. I've actually seen pictures of the referee, who is really highly regarded, by the way, with Real Madrid, like, I don't know, memorabilia. But then I've seen Madrid fans defend that. I don't know. Either way, I'm not saying the referee favoured Madrid in that game per se, but that decision was mad. I think the VAR intervened, and that's the main concern with that thought process. I swear that referee for the Madrid derby is always involved in controversy. What was the other one? Was it Bayern Munich Real Madrid last season? Generally speaking, he has been good. I've seen him in quite a few Argentina games, so, you know, against France in the World Cup final, he was generally good, to be fair. I do think the second penalty wasn't one because there was a handball by Konate in the build-up, but obviously, who cares? Argentina won anyway. Argentina-Iceland, I remember, in 2018, he was very poor on that day. But look, referees have off days, they're human. He is generally considered one of the better ones. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't really have an opinion of him in that game. I just thought that decision for the second touch was very controversial. What are your early thoughts for UCL? Target PSG? Back Dortmund against Barca? No, I'd be backing Barca there. Do you think Arsenal have a chance? Yeah, they have a chance, but Madrid are the favourites. It's worth getting in there before it changes. Arsenal do have a positive record against Real Madrid. 1 win, 1 draw, 0 losses, 1 goal scored, 0 conceded, but that will probably change for matchday 12. Matchday 13, should I say. But yeah, they have a chance. They need to win that first leg, though, in my opinion, because if they are drawing or behind on aggregate to go to the Bernabeu, it's going to be very difficult. Target PSG, I'd go for 3 or 4, I think. You could even go up to 5 if you wish, but Hakimi, Dembele, maybe Bacho, Donnarumma might be of interest. These are all very solid choices. How many Arsenal defenders get from Real Madrid trio, Vinicius, Mbappe, and Rodrigo? I'm not sure what you mean there with the first part of your question. What are those drawings for the City 11? Well, they take it from children who like send them in, so let's not laugh, okay? Some people reference a Messi double tap. Nah, there's actually a lot of videos that show the penalty he took against France, I think it was. There's no double tap. There's a lot of videos there. And people say, oh, that one was more obvious than Alvarez. I'm just like, what the hell are they talking about? Oh, yeah, also, what do you think of the England squad selected by Tuchel? I'll be honest, I've just never really supported England. I can't get into that, but yeah, it's a good squad overall. I mean, what's Henderson doing there? Fair enough, but most of it is fairly sound. Hopefully Wanyeri is picked at some point. Yeah, Henderson is a weird choice. Wharton should be there. Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. Not Gibbs White. Henderson keeping pictures of one of the staff, maybe. While no Creswell, I know many people went there. Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. Not picked up by me. That's a solid... well, you picked that out there. That's definitely one to look at. Guardiola unhappy with his old soldiers, apparently. That's been the case all season, it seems. But, yeah, hopefully Brighton can get a win. Gone Bruno Captain 2. Really happy with him as a differential this week. Same here, but going up against the effective ownership of Chris Wood and Haaland, especially in my case taking a hit, it is risky, but with my rank, I mean, it's worth taking a risk or two, I think. Everton 1, West Ham 0, Ipswich 0, Forest 1, City 2, Brighton 1, Southampton 0, Wolves 1, Bournemouth 3, Brentford 2, Arsenal 1, Chelsea 0, Fulham 2, Spurs 0, Leicester 1, Man United 2. Yeah, my predictions are fairly similar. Feel free to see them here one more time. Arsenal defence not quite as good because there is nothing up front. Yeah, I agree. And I do think Martinelli, for his many flaws, he does help a lot with tracking back. And I think Trossard could do really well as the number 9, linking up with Saka and Martinelli. It worked fairly well last season with Kai Havertz as well, playing a big part. Aside from fantasy, did you watch the Daredevil new series? I've only seen the first episode. No spoilers, of course, but I didn't expect it. I'm also watching Severance right now, and Monster, an anime. And yeah, Vinland Saga, I watched the first episode of that, and I'm trying to get into it very soon. Dylan, don't forget to take Foden out of your challenge. Yeah, I actually forgot, to be honest, so thank you very much. Let's go to FPL Challenge and sort this team out quickly before wrapping up. So Foden will make way. I am tempted by Ivanosen, Kluivert, and all these sorts of options. Yeah, Chris Wood, Haaland stay. Fernandes, Milenkovic, Ain't Nuri, Sells. I'll put Kluivert in there for now, but that could change. Yeah, that actually could change. I'm also going to go for Dallo. Let's see, I'm going to change things up a little bit. Who knows? Usually when I change things late in FPL Challenge, it goes tits up, but surely Foden to Kluivert is going to help me, right? Maybe not Dallo for Milenkovic, though. That's a bit risky. Torture. Well, the Arsenal defence is very good, but they're up against an elite attack. And my main issue of Arsenal is their own attack, you know, and their midfield. The chance creation can be lacking at times, but I think the way Madrid play will mean we'll probably see high-scoring games in both legs. If it was Atletico Madrid-Arsenal, we would have seen ball fest, maybe 0-0, 1-1, and penalties and stuff like that. Messi's other foot was nowhere near the ball, so there was no double tap there. Yeah, I saw many videos and stuff. There's a lot of debate on Twitter about that. I don't know. I just never saw it. Henderson in, but no Gallagher. Wharton, Gibbs White. Is Gordon in it? Anthony Gordon, I'll be honest, I'm not sure if he is. If I'm not mistaken, I think Gordon is in that list. Yeah, Rashford is back in the squad. I saw that. Who's your pick to win the Champions League this season? I actually never said Liverpool. Despite how good they've been this year, I never actually mentioned them as my favourite. Madrid are still top for me. I think Barcelona would be second in my list. I think one of Inter or Bayern would be next up. Then PSG, then Arsenal, then I would say Dortmund, and then Villa. That's my list of the probabilities of winning the Champions League. Should Pep look for a new goalkeeper? Edison looks finished. He has made some great saves this season, but you are right. I think he has been linked with Saudi Arabia for quite some time, and it looks like he will be gone. Yes, Foden benched. I'm surprised by it, but we are getting this situation with him and Marmoush. Captaincy overall up yet? I don't think so, but maybe in time for the reaction stream, we will get those numbers and I can provide them to you. The plan is to do a reaction stream tonight, if not tomorrow. So we'll go for the last few questions. If you have any others, then leave them in the comment section or shout me on Discord, Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, etc. So probably gave in to the media and finally picked Matty Cash. Sorry, that's the manager, right, of Poland. I do think even though he's one of our best, he hasn't showed up for training before and stopped trying to learn Polish, apparently. I actually didn't know that, so seems like he's fairly unprofessional. Yeah, in the World Cup he was decent. And I remember Poland were very well organised defensively against France and Argentina. Yeah, wow, I actually didn't know that, but hopefully he performs for you. What's your thoughts on Zubimendi? A lot of people seem to think he's overrated. I've seen only a bit of him, not a lot, and I do think he's a good player. He reminds me a bit of Jorginho, when he was younger, of course, and I think physically he offers more than Jorginho and more years, obviously, to come for him, but I do think he can fit very well in a team like Arsenal, Man City, even Liverpool. Let's not forget, these teams have been interested in him. Maybe he's a little bit overrated. I could see why some people think that, but I think he's a good DM. I'll be honest, going into Arsenal, I'd like to see Rice as the number 6, Zubimendi playing where Rice does, and them interchanging maybe at times. But yeah, maybe in terms of a box-to-box, you can get some goals and stuff like that under the belt and assists, and maybe Rice is better than Zubimendi. You think Trent may have played one of, if not his last game for Liverpool? It's possible. And from the beginning of the season, I've said, I think Salah and Van Dijk stay and Trent goes. I still think the same, but maybe we get a surprise. Severance is my top 3 shows of all time after watching it. It's one of my favourites. It's not my top 3. Maybe my top 10. Definitely my top 20. But it's a very good show, yeah. It's definitely Apple TV's best that I've seen. I think I'm 148 in challenge. Potter backfired, though. I could be so much higher. Yeah, but you can't get them all right, of course. I think my rank is decent, but nowhere near that. Marmoush starts, yeah. That was confirmed before the deadline. And let's see, I'm on FPL Challenge still. I'll show you my FPL squad one more time. But yeah, Marmoush, that was broken by Lazy FPL. The newsletter. Foden is benched, of course. We saw the lineups just now. The Discord server, there is a link in the description. I'll try to put the link now in the chat, but in every single video, live stream, you can find all my links there. So X, Instagram, Blue Sky, Patreon, and Discord, which I'll put now, if I can find it. Yeah. It's right next to the podcast section and the subscription link. So let's get this up. That is the Discord. Thank you, Adil. Have a good weekend as well. Top priority signing for Arsenal next season? A striker, like Isak. That would be great. I still think a winger is needed. Even maybe another attacker. A number 10. Maybe 2 other midfielders to replace. I think Partey and Jorginho will go. Partey might stay. There's still a chance of that, but Jorginho will definitely go, I think. So yeah, Isak, Nico Williams, Zubimendi. Get another number 10 in there. I mean, a dream signing, of course, is Wirtz. We're not going to do that, unfortunately. But yeah, that's the kind of sum I want to see from Arsenal. We need a big one. Dallo could be a shout. My challenge, Pickford, Aina, Dallo, Bruno, Kluivert, Haaland, Captain and Wood. Yeah, I've got a very similar setup. I've just got Sells instead of Pickford. And I've gone for Nuri instead of Aina. Trent replacement in Liverpool if he leaves for Real Madrid. Connor Bradley. They've already got him. But yeah, that's a good question. I mean, Kirkes will be linked as a left-back to replace Robertson. That would be a great signing. And I could see him going Liverpool. But on the right, I'm not sure. I need to think about that. But they've already got a very good one in Bradley, in my opinion. Thank you, Jakob. Have a good one as well. As soon as I see Trent drop again, Munoz is in. Yeah, I'm looking to buy Munoz and Gameweek 30. I don't want to make early transfers, though, with obviously FA Cup games and the international break. What do you think of Leroy Sané at Arsenal on the left wing? I think his level has dropped too much now. 2 or 3 years ago, he would still have been a good signing. I think he was fairly underrated at the time, always producing in the Champions League. But now, right now, I'd rather buy Nico Williams and have more years under their belt. I don't mind experience and having players who are 27 to 33. You know, you can still get a lot of value in them. But yeah, I'd rather see a Nico Williams, for example, and players with more potential now. I do think Sané hasn't lived up to what he was capable of, but that's just my opinion. Thank you everyone for watching. It has been a extensive live stream, over 3 hours. But yeah, we started streaming at 11 AM UK time, and there could be yet another one headed your way tonight, if not tomorrow. Subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and also like the stream. It'd be very much appreciated. Thank you to those that have done so already, and all the patrons, super chatters, and members are massively appreciated. You can follow me on X, Instagram, and Blue Sky, DylanRCM, and check all the other links like my Discord server, Patreon, Spotify, and much more. Even FPL Challenge, there is a link to all of my FPL videos and streams in the description to join in that league as well. I'll see you very soon for more FPL and Youth Fantasy content. Despite the international break, there's still going to be some content headed your way there. And like I said, the reaction stream is going to be imminent, so keep your eyes peeled for that. Enjoy the weekend. I hope you have a green arrow and can do really well in FPL, and I'll see you in that reaction stream. Take care.